I'd like to call the council meeting to order at 2:05. Machine is open. Roll call. Flex, we have all 9 council members present. This time we'd like to refer to FF.
A resolution approving the issuance of a 2-year extension to Midway Cattle Ranch, LLC, for the excavation of a borrow pit on property located in a floodplain zoning district at 1051 West Ravenna Road, Belle Chase, Louisiana, all in accordance with application number 2013-3267, dated January 17, 2013.
Solvent. I'll second. Question from the table. Mr. Lapine wanted an addition with that second as well, so he and I seconded. I don't have a problem with that. Any questions from the table, Mr. Roussel?
Yeah, I have some questions. In the discussion, I had a call from Ms. Musselman earlier today asking me to support this renewal, and I pulled the litigation out that where they're suing us, saying that our ordinance is unconstitutional, yet under the ordinance they want to renew their permit. So the concern I have is that by renewing this permit for an extra 2 years, does it take and it expand our liability? Does the extension increase our liability if we lose this case? And, there's some serious allegations in the litigation, and I'd like the legal department to address that. It says that the petition states that the unconstitutional portions of the ordinance are inseparable. So I guess you're trying to say that the whole ordinance is unconstitutional. Plus you're seeking damages and all fees returned. So I'm not sure that we're helping ourselves if we renew this under these conditions of the lawsuit. So I'd like somebody to address that. I know that one of the main issues is that the backfilling. And I know that, you decided to sell to whoever and take the dirt out of the parish. And is that the intent of the litigation, is to knock the ordinance out so you don't have to backfill?
Anyone from legal want to comment?
If we could we just pass over this for a few minutes? I need to take a look at it. It's the first time somebody's actually asked that question of me, so I don't know the answer off the top of my head. So if I could have a few minutes.
I have a problem with it. It's not my legislation.
He wanted you to pass over for a few minutes. Mr. Barbie.
Okay, somebody's going to seek a response to that, Mr. Barbie? Okay, I'll go ahead and pass over for now.
Okay. It's time we move to 6W.
The property owner wanted to speak. Would you allow her to speak now? Okay, we'll come back to it, Ms. Hahn.
Coming back. 6W.
A resolution to provide employees group insurance coverages consisting of medical, vision, dental, and life for the policy period January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2018 on an employer-employee contributory basis of 72%/28% and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I offer. Is there a second? Seconded by Solvent. Questions from the table? Audience?
I have a question.
You have a question?
What was it? I would actually use item X.
What's the problem with this? I just want to know something. Maybe get it straightened out.
I think in the last meeting we had, I wanted to add some language that the council would approve this legislation at the recommendation of the parish president.
No, not W.
W said in concurrence with the president's office. On the line 17. got line 17. What I'd like to do, then, just go ahead and vote on this one. If you don't want to vote it down, then we bring the other one up.
I'd like to make the following amendment.
You know, instead of doing all that, we can put the other one back and vote for the other one.
I'd like to offer the following amendment.
Go ahead, Mr. Roussel. Mr. Roussel, I'd like to offer an amendment.
On line 26, you insert the language, upon the recommendation of the parish president, after the word coverage.
That's exactly what that says.
I realize that's what X says, but he wants to vote on why.
That,
Yeah,
that's that.
Well, he wants to vote on,
just gonna vote no.
Yeah, that's all.
Go there. I mean, argue it, man. Whatever you want to do.
It don't set
I'll
no
support
argument.
you.
This thing is-
instead of voting one down, I'd like to have this one just in the proper language, so we don't have to vote anything down and take the
Come on, what you got?
They got more
Say it
than
again, Mr. Roussel. Line 26, what?
We're on Y, correct? I mean W.
W.
Sun Life for life insurance coverage upon the recommendation of the parish president.
Okay.
Inserted there.
Mr. Roussel, offer amendment. Is that second?
I have another amendment.
Let's get one done.
Well, we got to get on this one
What do
first.
you have?
If I can include it, line 17.
Wait, we have to get his done, don't we? We have to get his done and come to
He
you.
asked me to give it to him. He'll put it in hit with his.
All right.
What else?
You want the same language on line 18?
No. This one says on line 16 and 17, whereas after a total detailed evaluation, it was recommended to the parish council with
Excuse me,
concurrence of the
excuse me,
parish.
Mr. Councilman. Let's just get this done. You come back with your other amendment if this passes. Because it takes a different consequence of this ordinance. All right, it has been offered. It's been seconded by whom? Mr. Lapine. On Mr. Roussel only, then Mr. Mr. Black would like to offer one after, an amendment.
Okay.
All right. Any questions from the table? Audience, the machine is open. All right. It's 9-0, it passes. Now, Councilman Black, what your amendment is?
Give me one sec. Yeah, I want to get rid of lines 16, 17, 18, and 19,
Wait a minute.
and insert
16,
17, 18, and 19.
that whole paragraph.
Yeah, and insert, whereas the parish president has recommended that Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana Insurance Company be chosen as the provider for the employee medical, dental, and vision insurance and continuance of life insurance with Sun Life.
I'll second.
Could you explain the difference to me? What-
Yes, ma'am, because historically this council has never.
Second, Mr. Roussel?
I'll second.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Councilman.
Yes, ma'am, because just historically, the parish council has never chosen the actual insurance carrier. The only reason we did it last year is because we had an interim president, and I think that we all believed that it wasn't fair to him, since he would not be providing administrative governance over the parish employees in 2018, that we would, 17, that we would do it. So we've asked, I think a bunch of us on this council, in the meetings with HR, has asked for the recommendation of the parish president, as opposed to the council making the recommendation. This is something I think is an administrative function. The president has argued quite often that we should not be taking any of this authority from him. So, and this is another case. We just don't want to take that authority from him. We just basically want to ratify his recommendation.
So it really, does it really matter? But anyway,
To me, it does, ma'am.
okay, all right,
Mr. President?
Eddie.
Yes, Councilman Black, I'm sorry, but you're mistaken. This resolution, as it was introduced, was copied and taken from the resolutions during the Nungesser administration years, specifically, I think, 2008 and 2009. So I have to clarify the record and point out that you're changing, once again, you're trying something different and new.
Any other comments from the table? Audience? Machine is open
This is the amendment.
on your amendment. Right. Eight one. All right, now we're voting on the amendment, has been amended,
I have something to talk about.
okay, has been amended by Mr. Roussel and by Councilman Black. That's what we're voting on, the ordinance that has been amended by vote. Mr. Roussel.
Yes, about a week or so ago, I had forwarded an email to the Human Resources, the President's office, asking for the correspondence from the agents, brokers, to make sure that this is the final offer in negotiations. So if you have those documents, I appreciate you sharing them with us, because in the past, we've always looked at that last final offer from an email or from a document that the insurers have provided to show that that is the final and last offer.
May I address the council?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Kelly Dahl with Dahl Insurance, and yeah, we do have that from all of the carriers. We have the final rates, the rejections from Cigna and Aetna, and then also the final reduction to the renewal from Humana. They did come down to a 22.4% increase, so it was still a significant increase over the numbers that Blue Cross offered. And I have that here. Do you want, is that, oh, you
Yes,
got it. Okay.
Could you tell us what the final offer of Blue Cross is?
Yes, Blue Cross with the open formulary plan is a 10% increase over the current rates. With the closed formulary, it was an 8% increase over the current plan, and Humana is a 22.4% increase over the current plan.
And so I guess, you know, last time, at least we were into a thorough discussion with the broker, explained to us about the prescriptions and the problems that we might have in our. Could you elaborate and tell us what the plan is going to do so that we know what we're voting on?
Sure. It's the same plan that we went over in the meetings with the council members. It's very similar to the current plan. There's an HMO component with a $750 deductible. The doctor's office copays are very similar. The differences in the plan, or one of the major differences, is going from Humana's formulary, which is a closed formulary, to Blue Cross's formulary, which is open, which has a larger formulary. That's a prescription drug document that Blue Cross uses. And they have typically lower copays. Anytime you move from one carrier to another, you could have doctors or hospitals that are not on a particular plan, or you could have prescription drugs that are not. We did a comparison of Blue Cross to Humana for the prescription drug formulary, and Blue Cross has a significantly stronger formulary. Some of the other changes to the plan would be the ER copay. Currently, that's at $150. Blue Cross's ER copay is $350. One thing that does is drive members to use urgent care, which with Blue Cross is a $55 copay, where with Humana it was either a $100 or a $75 copay depending on the plan you were on. And that drives people to use the urgent care rather than the emergency room, which is a higher cost. And those costs get translated to the parish's overall claims if the members continue to use the ER. In addition, the prescription drugs, currently you have a $10 copay for Tier 1 prescription drugs. On Blue Cross, that would go to a $15 copay. For Humana, it's a $40 copay for Tier 2. Blue Cross, it's a $40 Tier 2 copay. So that's the same, a $70 copay for Tier 3 on both Humana and Blue Cross. And then for Tier 4, which are your specialty medications, it's a 10% co-insurance on Blue Cross, where it was a 25% co-insurance was applied on the Humana plan. So there's slight differences to the plans, and anytime you're changing from one plan to another, there's always doctors or prescription drugs that may not be on one or the other. But this is going back to a plan that's very similar to the that the parish had for about 8 years with Blue Cross. And there's an HMO option, a PPO option, and the high deductible health savings account option that was available with Humana as well.
So in the analysis of the plan, you believe that we will have less complaints from our employees about the prescription drugs?
I believe so. It's the open formulary gives a greater number of prescription drugs that are available, and they should fall into, typically it'll fall into lower cost tiers for the employees.
And do you know what the annual increase to the government will be?
From a percentage standpoint or a dollar
No,
standpoint?
dollars.
It's approximately, to go with the open formulary, it is about, it's $469,213. That's assuming the employee levels stay the same. If you hire or terminate employees, that of course would change.
So last year when we went to Humana and we had a $200,000 decrease, we go back to the $469 this year.
Correct. If you would have stayed with Humana, that increase would have been $1,094,000.
All right, thank you.
Any questions from the table? Audience, machine is open. Passes 9-0. Would you go to double O, please, at the request of Councilman Williams?
A resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to extend the current leases held by Venice Seafood LLC for another 10 years and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
William, you offer?
Yes, I'll offer with some
Second.
changes.
Well, you offer with changes?
Yeah, the
Okay.
changes that I passed out,
Yeah.
and I'll read them. They are as follows. On line 2, after the word another, we're going to enter 5-year term with 1. Moving on to line 3, additional 5-year renewal option. We're going to scratch 10 years. On line 14, we're going to scratch out 1 million and enter 200,000. On line 20, we're going to change 10-year to 5-year. On line 22, we're going to insert with 1 additional 5-year renewal option. Lines 24 and 25 will read, be it further resolved by the Plaquemines Parish Council that the renewal of the lease shall be conditional upon yearly rent increases to account for inflation. And with these changes, I so offer.
Second by Councilman H. Cone. Any questions from the table? Audience, machine is open. Passes 9-0. We'll right back to Mr. Barbier. Are you ready? We're going back to FF.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a suggestion? I would suggest that we add this to the, there's an open litigation involving these parties, so I would suggest there's some answers I need to possibly give the council members in an executive session so that it is not public. So is there some way in which we could just agree to discuss it and could bring it back up after the break?
Sullivan.
Mr. Barbier, maybe I could pose a question to you right now. Based on the current ordinance, Borough Pit ordinance that's on the books, under Section 4, letter H, it stipulates that we shall grant a 2-year extension after 5 years of excavation. And how does that fit into?
We actually have no legal grounds to deny the renewal just because they sued us. That doesn't give us grounds to deny it, as crazy as that sounds. So to answer your question,
Right.
they have a right to ask for renewal even while the litigation's going on. Actually, that's what I went to go look up, so I apologize for that.
Okay. Based on that legal opinion, I'm ready to move forward on it.
Has been offered by Councilman. Who's second? Ms. You second? No, Mr. Lapine and I second. Question has been called for. I'm sorry, Mr. Lawrence, you got a question?
Yes, Warren Lawrence, 120 Temple Canal Lane, Port Sulphur. As well as the litigation on this particular renewal, this particular pit has violated the existing ordinance as it exists. It's been validated, documented. I don't know what the legal department has taken action on. I know Mr. Bartholomew tried to get this all resolved. Nothing has taken place. Mud has been delivered out of this pit to private property, and it was documented within the parish. It's been delivered out of the parish to two sites, one being in Orleans Parish and one being in Jefferson Parish, still with no actions taken against them. The permit as taken out, that company agreed to abide by the regulations of that permit. They have violated that permit. And for us to stand here today and say we were going to renew or extend a permit that they have already willfully violated is almost an insult to the law. And I just ask that you defer this and that let them come in and show any evidence that they did not violate the permit, and also have the legal department bring forth the evidence to show that they were and are in violation of the existing permit. And this is not has to be done until January. I ask that you defer it and that information be made public before you vote on granting an extension to a violator.
Any other members from the audience? Yes.
I'd like to offer my testimony that when you do look into this, that I actually followed trucks coming out of that specific borough pit, followed them down into Jefferson Parish where they were dumping. I spoke with the guard at the gate where they said, yes, indeed, that it was at the end of Barataria. And they said that they're filling up a big old hole back here with dirt and clay from Plaquemines Parish, and it's a 40-foot deep pit that's about 23 feet wide, 23 acres by 40 feet deep, and they're using our soil to do that from this pit. So anytime you need my testimony, I have photographs. I know when I was there, and I'll help however I can, because this kind of stuff has to stop.
Next, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Hong Win Musselman with Midway Cattle Ranch at 1051A West Ravina, Belchase, Louisiana 70037. Mr. Benny Versailles had mentioned something about the lawsuit. Okay, and as of now, the ordinance is in place, and according to the ordinance, a one-time extension for 2 additional years shall be granted by the council for a borough pit upon the original applicant seeking the extension in writing and payment of the requisite administrative fee. We did what the ordinance asks us to do. We apply in writing, and we also paid for the administrative fee. Okay, so as of now, the ordinance is in place, and we're asking you to please grant us the extension. Every other issue is not at stake now. So what we're talking about now is the extension of our borough pit that is expiring shortly. So please grant us the extension as the law allows. So thank you very much.
Solid.
No, I was just going to ask Ms. Brannon, how many borough pits have you monitored? Just that one? Okay.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, ma'am. In your petition, I read from earlier, you said that the separable parts of the ordinance are not separable and that it's all unconstitutional. So now you're taking a different position than what you filed in the court?
Sir, I am not discussing the lawsuit now because it is not about the lawsuit today, and we do not have our lawyer here to discuss that. okay? But as you know, as I believe, right now, the ordinance is in place, and the ordinance allow us to request for an extension in writing, and for us to pay for the fee. And we did what the ordinance asked us to do, because you cannot not say that right now the ordinance is not legal, it's not in place. So the lawsuit is beside the point. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I understand that. So are you abiding by the ordinance now? Are you following all of
We
the rules?
are an abiding citizen, and I believe that we abide by the law.
So you following the ordinance completely?
And I am sorry, I'm not discussing anything beside the extension of the permit. So please allow me that. Okay?
Solvent, we'll move.
There's no other questions from the table?
Yes.
I'm going to move forward based on what the lawyer said.
Okay.
Based on what Mr. Peter Barbier gave us, his legal interpretations, we will be jeopardizing this government again for another lawsuit. So I call a question.
Solvent, call question. Machine is open. Passes 8-1. The ordinance, the ordinance has passed. 8-1.
I would like to thank you very much for that.
Item 4, building permits. We'd like to deal with 1, 2, and 3 in global. Then we'll take B, C, and D in global.
4A1, Hellas Oil and Gas Company, LLC, application number 2017-708, dated October 10, 2017. After the fact emergency repair of wellhead and well protector structure that was struck and damaged by a loose barge during Tropical Storm Cindy at the SL-195 QQ, well number 39, Southeast Black Bay Field, Councilmember Bartholomew. Number 2, Hellas Oil and Gas Company, LLC, application number 2017-709, dated October 10, 2017. Install deck barge and 12 36-inch drive piles for mooring, Black Bay Field area, Councilmember Bartholomew. Number 3, Chevron Pipeline Company, application number 2017-768, dated October 31, 2017. Install boat dock with aluminum gangway connecting to the existing facility grounds, Chevron Pipeline Empire East Bank Facility, Councilmember Bartholomew.
I offer. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Juno and Ms. Solvent. Table, any questions? Audience? Machine is open. Eight, 4, and 1 abstention. Next, please.
4B, Yellow Cotton Bayside, LLC.
They are.
Place trailer for commercial use in an A2 zoning district, 40666 Highway 23, Boothville, Louisiana, Councilmember Williams. C, B&B Partners, LLC, new sign number 1 in a floodplain zoning district, 161 Marina Road, Myrtle Grove, Louisiana, Councilmember Trufant Salvan. D, B&B Partners, LLC, new sign number 2 in a floodplain zoning district, 161 Marina Road, Myrtle Grove, Louisiana, Councilmember Trufant Salvan.
Offered by Ms. Solvent, second by Ms. Williams. Question from the table. Audience, the machine is open. This time we'll go over the deferrals and withdrawals. Under 6A2, it's deferred. 6A2 deferred. 6A1 deferred. 6A1 deferred also. B deferred. C is withdrawn. F is deferred. G J is deferred. K is deferred. H is deferred. H and I is deferred, I'm sorry. Okay, H, I, J, K, L, M, and N is deferred. Okay.
And
O is deferred. V is deferred. X is withdrawn.
Q is deferred.
I beg your pardon?
Q, sir,
Let me,
is deferred.
going to defer Q.
Yes, sir.
Go back up and defer Q. BB is withdrawn.
BB.
And HH is withdrawn. E is deferred. I'm going to go back over because as I read, they're changing up. All right. Let me go back, please. Anybody have any more they want to add before I go to the last time? 6D? No. 6D deferred? D. Deferred. Anyone else? Anything else? Anything else? Huh? All right. 6A, 1 and 2 is deferred. All right. 6B, C, and D is deferred. Withdrawn. C is withdrawn, but they're all off the table. F is deferred. H is deferred. I, J, K, L, M, and N is deferred. Okay. O is deferred. Q deferred. V deferred. X withdrawn. Double B withdrawn. Double E is deferred. And H, double H is withdrawn. All right, that's it. Go to 6.3, please. Six, 8.3.
An ordinance to amend and amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District Map therein adopted by reference, and which is par thereto, with reference to application number 2017-262 dated August 22nd, 2017.
I offer. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? Second by Mr. Burke. Ms. Rose, everything is in order with this?
Everything is in order and in place, ready to move.
Okay. Any questions from the table? Audience, sheet is open. Passes 9-0.
Thank you.
Next, please.
6A4, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of property of Lot 2-A and Lot 2-B-1-A, Scarsdale Plantation, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots 2-A1 and 2-B-2, Scarsdale Plantation, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, is shown on the plans and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated July 7, 2017, revised September 6, 2017. The owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I offer. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Williams. Ms. Rose, everything is in order with that?
Yes, sir.
Everything is in order.
Everything
Any
is
questions from the table? Audience, sheet is open. Passes 8-1. Next, please.
6A5, an ordinance by the Plaquemines Parish Council as it on behalf of the West Bank Levy District to acquire new perpetual flood protection levee flood wall easements, new perpetual flood wall protection levee flood wall and drainage ditch easements, new perpetual drainage ditch easements, and new temporary work area easements in certain portions of lands in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana by donation, purchase, appropriation, and/or expropriation to construct the New Orleans to Venice NOV-NF-W-068.1 Wood Park to Point Celeste Pump Station, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, for levee, flood wall, drainage, flood access, and hurricane protection purposes, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Solvent, you offer? I'll second. Question from the table? Audience, Sheena, Mr. Roussel?
Is Mr. Cooley here?
Yes. Mr. Cooley?
I want to see how much progress you made on these donations. So could you explain to us what area we're talking about and the effort made and the refusal?
Yes. I'll let Mr. Steve Gerges show you on the presentation the area. He's got it outlined. I think the only owners we haven't talked to, and I don't know if is Dufresne on this one?
No, it's not.
Okay. So we've talked to everybody else in connection with other projects, and the affected landowners, the large landowners here, none have been willing to donate.
Mr. Bartholomew, I think it needs to be said that this is the project 6A1. This encompasses Wood Park to Point Celeste Pump Station.
That's not what they got up on that map, though.
This map is the entire 6A project area. 6A1, again, as Ms. Salvon said, is tying into the Wood Park subdivision project and is a levee and canal project that's going to be constructed down to Point Celeste Pump Station. If you could go to the next slide, please. This first slide is the area where it's going to tie into the Wood Park project. I know it's a little confusing here because it's showing a lot of property ownership information, but there's a current flood wall project and earthen levee project in the Wood Park subdivision area. This is going to tie, the upper end of this project is going to tie into the earthen levee portion of that. At this part, it's going to be a combination of a levee and canal project. If you could go to the next slide, please. As it transitions into the Deer Range area and begins tying into the back levee, there's going to be a divergence between the levee itself and the interior drainage canal. As you may be familiar with some of the other projects going on in this area, the current back levee that the parish owns, levee and canal that the parish owns in fee, is going to be completely encompassed with these projects, and the canal is going to be filled in. Therefore, a new canal needs to be constructed as part of the drainage for these polders. It was best determined that there's an interior canal, and that canal is going to be expanded, and that canal, as you can see here in the blue, is where it's going to pick up. That is going to tie into, ultimately, to the Point Celeste Pump Station. If you could go to the next slide, please. I'm sorry, before you go to the next slide, one thing that I want to point out on this is there is a gold area toward the top of this particular slide. That was previously a disposal area on port property. That is no longer part of this project. That has been removed. All materials that are coming out of this project are going to be disposed of off-site.
So before we move on from that map there,
Yes.
that blue line, is that on port property?
Part of it is on port property. The port property, as you can see right in the center of the screen there, that is the original port property. You may recall a couple of years ago when the port purchased their first piece of property down here. That was the port property. Yes, sir. Since then, however, as you're aware, the port has acquired additional lands from the Woodland Borrow Pits Company, and that is property you can see above it, and on the next slide you'll see some properties below it. Woodland Borrow did retain portions of their property for this particular project and for a pipeline project that had gone through this area, the High Point gas pipeline project, so they retained those properties.
And that was in the subdivision that we did at this table?
That is correct. That's part of that re-subdivision. Yes, sir.
Now, we are having to buy that because we didn't retain it for drainage?
You will have to acquire a portion of that property. That is correct. That portion of property that you will be acquiring has an existing drainage servitude across it, so there may be a diminished value, but the property, the drainage servitude was never in favor of the Plaquemines Parish government. CLL, who originally owned all of this property, had put drainage servitudes across interior canals and ditches across their property, and this is one of those. The light blue area that you see there is I think it's a 50, I'm not exactly sure, 50 or 60 foot wide drainage servitude across the canals, and there's an additional 30 or 40 feet that's going to need to be acquired.
And do you know what the value of this is?
We do not. We haven't had any appraisal work done until after the project appropriation takes place.
And would you come back with that in a public meeting and tell us how much that costs?
Of course, of course.
And the reason I make this issue is because when we subdivided this property, I insisted that we try to make this a drainage servitude in the subdivision for the benefit of the property owners as well as the entire project. And I'd like to know what the value is at the end of the day.
Of course.
That we did not do.
Right. The area on this particular screen, the area to the left of in the illustration is an area that was retained by Woodland Borough. You see a red line that runs through there. That is the location of the High Point gas pipeline. Of course, just below that on the screen is the area where the levee is going to be constructed. That will be a levee and canal portion. And then if you can go to the next screen now, I can show you the rest of the project. This is just down from there, just down from the port property. You will see another sliver of land just above the canal, which Woodland Borough retained, again, both for the leveeing, for the canal portion of this project and for the High Point gas pipeline that's already there in place. And then again, on the back levee, you'll see there's two different, it's a little difficult to see, but there's two different shades of green there. One is what the parish already owns in fee, which is where the existing levee and canal is. And then there's an additional portion of land that's going to need to be acquired for the continued construction and expansion of that levee. And then the last slide shows where it's going to tie into the Point Celeste pump station, which is kind of off-center at the bottom of the screen. That's the Point Celeste pump station. There's been some previous acquisitions in that area by the parish council for some surcharge and some work that's going on right now around the Point Celeste pump station. This canal portion is going to improve the canal as it leads into the pump station, and then, of course, the levee construction on the back portion of the property is going to expand and tie into the pump station protection.
And how many different property owners are we talking about in that particular reach?
At least 7, sir. We may have additional ones depending after the survey is done. There is a property owner on the marsh side of the levee, and we're not sure until the survey is completed whether or not the Corps' taking impacts that property owner. But we have at least 7, maybe 8. Yes, sir.
And that's the ordinance that we're dealing with right now?
Yes, sir, it
That's
is.
the limits of the ordinance?
I'm sorry?
That's the limits of the ordinance to the...
That is the limits of the ordinance. The lower end is at the Point Celeste pump station. The upper end is the tie-in to the Wood Park subdivision flood wall and levee.
And I'd like Mr. Cooley to elaborate on his negotiations with the property owners.
We don't begin our negotiations until we have a survey completed, until the appraisal work is done. Once we have an appraisal in hand, then we have something to offer, fair market value. So at this stage, we haven't begun that process.
However, you've stated earlier that they are not interested in donation.
No, they're not. That's the first question we ask when we meet with them. I mean, they may change their minds later, but right now, the answer is no. And we've approached every one of them. We have an upcoming possible meeting with one landowner, but it's not on this project.
Do you have any of that in writing?
No.
Or you intending on putting anything of that in writing as a request, as the ordinance stated that we had passed earlier, asking for the donation so we can be rejected?
Well, we asked, what we do is the authority gives us the right to acquire. In some of these occasions, on some of these occasions, if they want to donate, they can. But we have not specifically put in language that says you're going to donate or not donate. We can't. At this stage, all we can do is have the authority to acquire on the appropriated areas. That's done through the ordinance passage itself. We have the authority under that ordinance when it's passed to begin negotiations when we're ready to make offers. Again, at that point, we can ask if they want to donate or not, and we will do that. If we get no, then we have to expropriate, and the ordinance gives that authority.
Well, the reason I asked that, in the ordinance, it says by donation, purchase, appropriation, and I would hope that the legal department takes it serious with an effort to get a letter of rejection before we move forward, once you have everything in place. So just asking is fine, but I would like to see a rejection in writing if possible.
We can do that.
That's all I asked, and
That's
I'd like to have
that's
copies
not
of
a
the
problem.
rejection
We
letters.
can put that in writing. We'll get that done when we're ready to make whatever presentations we have with respect to the surveys and the appraisals. And if they choose to sign it, that's fine. I'll present it to them, and we'll go forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions from the table? Audience, scene is open. Sorry.
Just a quick question. Who are the landowners, the 7 landowners? Can we know that?
That's okay. I can look here. Starting at the Wood Park tie-in, we have International Marine Terminal, Entergy, the Plaquemines Port and Harbor Terminal District, Woodland Borough, Duckland, and potentially DeFelice on the marsh side of the levee. Those are the landowners that we're dealing with. Once we get full abstracts of title, we'll be able to confirm that, but our preliminary research has shown that those are the landowners.
Thank you. The scene is open. Passes 9-0. Next, please.
Councilmember Salvin is exit. I read the following two together.
Yes.
6A6, an ordinance to amend and amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District map therein adopted by reference, and which is paragraph thereto, with reference to application number 2017-269, dated September 19, 2017. And 6A7, an ordinance to amend and amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District map therein adopted by reference, and which is paragraph thereto, with reference to application number 2017-268, dated September 19, 2017.
Offered by Ms. Sarvant. I'll second. Questions from the table? Audience? Ms. Williams, go ahead.
Can you elaborate as to what this is, Ms. Salvan? It's two different.
Yes. I want to make sure that Ms. Barbara read 6A6 and 6A7. Okay. That's the resolution or ordinance to approve the map change request. That's made by IGP.
Okay, this is the approval.
This is the approval. They're requesting a rezoning of
Right.
two plats of ground property.
Okay.
From floodplain to I-3 to heavy industrial. And
Okay.
I elected to kind of save time rather than going over the boat, two
Yes,
separate.
ma'am. I just wanted to verify this was the approval and not the denial.
No,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is the approval.
Okay, thank you.
And what I would like to do, Mr. Mr. Chairman, if
Yes.
I would like to have the company to come up and respond first, and then we would have folks, limited, afford them a limited time to speak. Folks that opposes it, and then the folks that in the,
You have the floor, Madam Chair. You have the floor.
okay. So we would have Mr. Harris come up first.
Thank you. Randall Harris, 1400 Broadfield Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77084. My name is Randall Harris. I am the Chief Technology Officer for IGP Methanol. We have 2 tracts of land, as you've just discussed. We're in the process of purchasing those from International Marine Terminal Company. What we're going to do on those is we're going to create methanol, which is an alcohol. It's the simplest alcohol from natural gas. The products we're going to make are the methanol only. There's no byproducts. Methanol is used in almost everything we deal with. It actually is involved in the manufacture of vitamin B12, ibuprofen, all the way up through the Ivory dish soap or hand soap that's in the bathrooms in here has methanol in it. Fuels are the next growing field for methanol. It's currently used predominantly as a feedstock in industrial processes to make other products. However, we believe that methanol will slowly start being added to the fuel supplies. We're already seeing that in other parts of the world. Europe has several companies or several countries that are currently introducing methanol into their fuel system. China actually has about 20% of their fuel, transportation fuel, comes from methanol. We think the biggest impact on fuel in the parish is going to be on our fleets. In 2011, I believe it was, there was an international treaty that talked about the burning of bunker fuel in coastal waters, and we are slowly in the process of replacing bunker fuel with alternative fuels. Either number 2 diesel, ultra-low sulfur diesel will be the eventual fuel that's currently on the market, but we're also seeing methanol coming in as an alternative. The thing about combusting methanol is methanol produces no soot at all. It basically, when you burn it, you end up with a little bit of carbon dioxide and you end up with water vapor. We think that the long-term transportation that would affect us as we drive around is going to be in hybrid vehicles. Currently, a hybrid vehicle has a battery pack in it that is supplemented by a gasoline or diesel-fueled engine, which then charges the batteries when you don't have it plugged in or when the batteries are down. What we believe is going to happen, looking at the technology, is that that will be replaced by a fuel cell. Currently, the only method, the preferred method right now people have been talking about is hydrogen fuel cells. Problem with that on a practical basis is we have no infrastructure for providing gaseous hydrogen at a convenience store. Convenience stores are set up, gas stations are set up right now for liquid fuels. There is a direct methanol fuel cell that is currently being introduced by General Motors, Volvo, and several other companies. The U.S. military has recently taken delivery of the first tactical vehicles that use methanol fuel cells. So we believe that's where we're going to be going. We currently are looking at a process that's going to put about $3.2 billion is going to be our investment. $2.8 billion of that is going to end up on the asset rolls of Plaquemine Parish. We've already talked with the assessor's office. It is our intent that we will not request a waiver of our property taxes on our plants. So we'll start paying our property taxes as soon as the assets go on the books. We're doing that simply because we believe that we need the services that the parish has to offer. And the easiest way for us to get those is to make sure you guys have the money you need. If we don't, we're going to have to go out and buy them anyway. I need police services. I need schools. I need emergency service backup. We've had conversations with the fire department. At this point, we have conversations started conversations with the various police agencies, and we'll be talking Homeland Security over the next month or so, and putting together cooperative mutual aid agreements with all these groups. We reached out to the school district. We've had meetings this week with both the South High School and today with the Phoenix High School to talk about how we can work our kids and adults that want to get the skills they need to participate in this. We'll have somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 workers on site during the construction period. We believe right now the construction period, because we're actually building 4 trains, if you will, within this complex, could easily go on anywhere from 5 to 7 years. So we'll have a peak. We'll start off, we'll have a peak of 1,000, then we'll start the next train, we'll have another peak. So we'll have quite a few construction workers. I believe that especially the South High School's program, their kids that are graduating this year are in good shape to get jobs during the construction period. We'll be working with them over the next little bit to get them the skills they need for the welding and other jobs that we're going to need. We believe the same thing can happen on a smaller extent just because it's a smaller school in Phoenix. But we believe those 2 schools can help us feed the trades people that we need over time. We are going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 30,000 purchase orders to build this plant. We think that a number of those can come from businesses or people that want to start businesses in the parish. We're committed to reaching out to folks that are interested in doing that by providing pre-bid conferences with them, basically like a job fair version only for businesses. We'll say these are the things we're going to buy, this is the schedule, this is the specifications, and if there are bonding requirements, what are the bonding requirements? What I've found in the past that oftentimes, especially in smaller communities, companies have some of the skills but not all the skills. If we find that case, what we're going to try to do is take the local folks and team them with a larger company somewhere else, so collectively the team can bid and win. Right now we're providing everything moves along. We would be prepared to start our site work sometime this year yet, with probably significant construction starting in the April kind of time frame. We believe there's about a 30-month cycle on the first one. Our goal is to get Unit 1 operational in 2020. Like I say, we have 4 units altogether that we would be doing.
Councilman?
Okay, is there any questions from the table for this gentleman before I open the floor up?
I do. I have one question. Approximately how many employees after construction, permanent jobs, are we looking at?
About 325 is our current estimate. We put together a rather extensive industrial questionnaire for the zoning board, about 60-some pages worth of stuff. And included in that was our proposed org charts with the staffing at each position. We also have the skills required during our construction period on that. That's been provided to the school district, and that's the basis for our discussions with them on how to get people prepared.
And that's 325 for all 4 units? Once
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
complete? Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
we think that Unit 1, by the time we staff up Unit 1, we'll probably have hired half of those people,
Okay.
because they'll have to be prepared as we go forward. We'll probably start hiring operators about 18 months into the construction cycle, because we're going to have to do some on-job training. Realistically, we're not going to want rookies running the panels.
Absolutely.
However, what we have found in conversations with industries up and down the river is there's a significant number of Plaquemine Parish tradespeople and operators that are currently working upriver that would love to have an excuse to come back. So we believe that our core senior staff operators and maintenance people are going to be people that originally grew up in the parish that have had to move upriver because there weren't jobs here, and that will get them back. So we think that's where our core is going to come from.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to thank you very much for your attitude and support of the schools, students, giving them an opportunity to be in the workforce and also skilled. I appreciate that very much.
I've grown up in small communities similar to this. My entire life has been spent around them, and if we don't find jobs for our kids in the home, they're all going to leave. And we're going to be left with folks that we don't have a way to support. And that's not just a problem here, that's a problem all over the country in rural America. Oh, yes, ma'am.
While the uses of this product might be quite benign, it's also very toxic and very flammable. So are our fire departments able to handle an explosion or a fire that might happen as a result of this chemical?
The possibility of an explosion is extremely remote. We've never found an incident around the world at methanol facilities that's having an explosion. Talking with your fire superintendent when he was the fire chief at Alliance, Alliance uses methanol. They don't produce methanol. He said there's been at least 5 fires of methanol within the Alliance factory that were all put down without a problem. So they already have the skill set here to do that.
So, Mr. Chairman, for the purpose of time, oh, somebody from the table. Okay.
Excuse me. What is the total investment of this project?
We're going to spend about $3.2 billion. About 2.8 of that will be things that could be assessed. So the assessed value of property in the parish should go up by about $2.8 billion. The rest of it, quite honestly, those who have been involved in project development, and probably y'all in the council, is spent on lawyers and finance people.
And could you tell me where the nearest methanol plant would be right now?
There is a methanol plant in Geismar. It uses a different technology than we do and has a much different emission pattern than we do. The closest one that uses the same technology is in Clear Lake in Texas, just south of Houston.
Okay. Thank you.
Sergeant?
Yes. For the purpose of time, at this, I would like to open the floor up for
Sure.
all individuals that, Mr. Lawrence, are you going to speak in opposition or support?
Well,
Or
I'm
just a
speaking to
question?
give information. And first of all, what we have before us is not on what's going there, but the zoning. And what I had spoken to the zoning board was the same thing. The current land that is there now, we have in this proposal to zone it from floodplain to heavy industrial. Currently, as the zoning book reads, it is no longer floodplain because of the fact that it's in an area that's behind a public levee and drained by a public drainage system. So it has no definition. It should be defined as something. This is a continuation of an existing industrial zone. It's not spot zoning. It's a continuation of an existing zone. It only makes sense, and I've asked the zoning board that they should go through this entire floodplain, which includes Ironton, Myrtle Grove, all the way up to the siphon, and look at this land. This land is no longer floodplain. What you want to do, I don't care if you call it agricultural, residential, something, but if it's no longer floodplain, don't change it from something that it isn't to something that you want it to be. I'm in favor of taking this portion of land and make it industrial. We have industrial there now. We are going to end up getting rid of some of the coal plant. Thank God for that. This plant that will go there, and I think the time to talk about the plant is during the time of the permit. This company may go away and somebody else may look at this land. And is it ever going to be a golf course? Is it ever going to be something other than industrial? My answer is it's going to be industrial. If we want to zone it properly, let's put a buffer zone and say what that buffer zone would be. Currently, there is no law for a buffer zone. Do I think there should be one? Yes, there should be. I don't know what it is. But as it stands, what we're looking at right now is not a spot zone. It's just an extension of an existing industrial zone. And yes, I am speaking in favor of this, and that to get the clarification that it's not changing from a floodplain to an industrial zone. It's changing from no name to an industrial zone. Thank you.
I'm not sure I follow you. You're speaking in favor of what, the map change?
I'm in favor of the zoning to be industrial. It has nothing to do with the plant. When the plant goes in, there will be a building permit required for the plant.
Well, that's the only thing before us right now, is the map, is a rezone, is to change, the map change.
Yeah, and the zoning is not based, if I'm wrong, tell me, but the zoning is being done as a zoning issue, not necessarily that you have a guarantee that a methanol plant will be there. This is a zoning change.
Absolutely.
It went before the zoning board. And the only thing I've said, and I won't repeat it any further, but you know, it is not a floodplain so as it exists. What are you changing it from to? I don't know, because there's no designation now. We're saying it's a floodplain and it's not a floodplain.
You want to respond to that?
Technically, the zoning maps does have that area from Myrtle Grove, the Alliance, to the St. Jude hump, as we call it, designated as a floodplain zoning district. It was that way because prior to the new height of the levees, water would be able to come in and inundate that area. And as we talked about opening a petition for the map change in the previous map change petition for the industrial plant on the port property, we allowed that to happen because of the new heights of the levee, which then in the future, once the levees are completed, the council, as they wish, may not be you guys, can support a map change for that area. But as of now, the levees are not completed. So it's no, you know, it's not called for the map change at this current time.
And if I may reply, as it reads in the zoning book, when they donated that land from Citrus Land, that old levee that was Citrus Land's levee was a private levee. It now becomes a public levee. Those pumping stations that drain those areas were private pumping stations. They're now public pumping stations. So it is, as the book says, it is not a floodplain. The height of the levee has nothing to do with it. It don't mention the height of the levee. It mentions behind a public levee. That levee is a public levee.
Mr.
It is
Lawrence,
no longer private. It does not mention height.
Mr. Lawrence, but it does say that it is an area that has to be inundated by water. And with the levees being built up, it will no longer be able to be inundated by water, and that's why I'm referring to the levees. But until the council, whether it's this present council or any future council, an area cannot be petitioned for a map change until it is directed by the council to the development board to look at and study those areas. Until then, you cannot. It is designated as a floodplain zoning district.
It was inundated during Katrina by the river. So to say it can't get inundated, it was inundated, but not from the south side, but from the north side.
Okay, at this time, I want to allow individuals that in support of this refinery to come up and speak, and afterward we will have the opposition to speak, and then we'll go from there.
Michael Van Hiverbeck, 276 Pie Street, Belchase, 70037, 2017 Chairman of Plaquemine Association of Business and Industry. As a group and individually, I am in support of this map change and requested zoning. This opportunity that before us is a continued economic diversification for Plaquemines Parish. The footprint that they're describing fits so well into what we already offer. We have the gas pipelines, we have the natural resources, and the ability to enjoy the outdoors, and continue to do so as we invest future dollars into this parish. Without such, our people will continue to leave, our schools will continue to crumble, and we'll no longer be able to offer the services that our fine people deserve and enjoy. This is an opportunity that we cannot afford to miss. The opportunity that IGP offers for us to continue to sustain our way of life is an incredible opportunity. $2.8 billion, upwards of $3 billion is a huge number. As we continue, this is the kind of developments that we will have to see along the greatest natural highway in the country, if not the world, the Mississippi. The developments along our port property, this all fit that corridor, and that is what we need to see happen in order for us to continue our way of life. So again, I fully support this. Our organization supports this, and we hope that the council will do so as well. Thank you.
My name's Tommy Moore. I own a home at 136 Orange Lane in Wood Park across the street. I want to kind of take the middle ground, if that's possible, and say some thoughts on this. You know, I thought a lot about this. I was heartbroken at first to hear about it, and then I started learning more about it. And I think you're all good people, and you all would seem to want to do the right thing, and that's why you're doing what you're doing here. I think you have a dichotomy and an opportunity that I see that maybe hasn't really been considered to maybe make everyone whole and make everyone right. I think there's a solution. IGP, of course, is industry, which is good for the community, the area, jobs, tax revenue, clean fuel even. I was asked to be on the community council, as were a lot of the people here, and they've reached out to us and talked to us and tried to answer our questions and so forth. Of course, we're still concerned. This is our little piece of paradise, and so we have, I guess, things that we don't know. They've expressed a desire to work with our community, answered our questions, and encouraged dialogue. Of course, you have a dock there that's underutilized, we learned, from the coal plant. You have a gas line that goes all the way up to Canada, from what I understand, and they're going to reverse that gas. And you have vacant land. So, of course, it's a desirable place for them to have their facility. GNO Inc. was behind it and supporting it. We just heard about Plaquemines Parish. On the other hand, you have residents. Wood Park used to be camps. Myself and lots of us built homes there, bought property, paid a lot of money for it, and put some very nice homes there. Myrtle Grove Estates used to be vacant land. We all used to fish off the bank, a bunch of us, right? And now you have homes there. You have Ironton, that's been a community for a long time and should be respected, of course. Wood Park, we pay property taxes in Wood Park, but yet we don't have our roads taken care of because as things changed, we tried to even, I met with Billy Nungesser before, and we were trying to get rock just put on our road. We paid a property tax, but we don't get the services. We were told he tried to even help us, but people within government didn't think that it fit the rules because we couldn't donate the roads. They were too narrow, but yet, you know, so we're stuck in a conundrum of when I need a road, I go to my neighbor and we put in money and we have people come down and put crushed concrete and fix our roads for us, but yet we pay property taxes, as I said. The coal plant, as we said, and I realize that's industry too, but we have coal dust that we've been fighting with and we still fight with despite their efforts to do some things. So we have quality of life issues and, of course, the old acronym NIMBY, not in my backyard, but we have industry wanting to come in, which is good for the parish. My solution and what I would ask you all to do, and I don't know how to do it, y'all are smarter than me in government, and that's why y'all are there. IGP is offering, as he said a minute ago, to forego the exemption of property taxes of around $10 million a year for 10 years, typically extended to new businesses like this. Instead of sending these funds into the general fund and just having it evaporate, why not make the $10 million a year a millage or whatever you have to call it to make those affected and the quality of life of these people in Ironton, Wood Park, and Myrtle Grove Estates to make them right? If you had a highway coming through farmland, they make those people right and buy their farmland. So you could give a choice to those of us there at a cost to purchase our places, whatever it would be to replace it with waterfront land, rebuild it, Or if those other people who wanted to stay there, compensate them for their quality of life by paying those or helping them with their infrastructure issues like the streets, like I said, or what have you. The needs of Ironton, same thing. Those funds would come specifically from this project and could compensate those people affected. We're not asking for money from the parish or whatever. You could make it all a nice package where people could be compensated and have options. I think you're all certainly capable of working this out using the new funds that IGP is offering to pay to be fair to all parties. Thank you.
Anyone else in support? At this time, we'll have those that oppose to the refinery, the methanol plant. Anyone that opposes?
I'm in opposition of it. Again, we've thrown around that $1 billion number. We heard about that with the port, and we've not seen anything. And now we're hearing that the port's going to be turned over to Orleans Parish. I know that's not on the topic, but the point is we've got some trust issues here. I know I do with what's been done and how things have been done. And I know that recently there was a venue, a 100-year-old home in Jesuit Bend that somebody wanted to use as a wedding venue, and that gets turned down. But a few miles down the road, we're willing to put in a plant that could explode. So things don't make sense, but it's lack of information. And I've been out of the picture for a little while. Keeping up with you guys is a full-time job, and I've taken my finger off the pulse for a little while, so I'm totally lost. But I am against this for so many reasons. We've not done anything right. We've opened communities, like this gentleman says, but then we're not able to get proper roads in and out of those communities. So we kind of go in all excited that things are going to be great for the parish and this is going to be good and all these billions of dollars, yet the planning kind of falls through.
My name's Paul Jelpe. I have a home at 136 Cypress Lane in Wood Park. And I'm a little perplexed of this whole ordeal. Pretty much coming out of nowhere in the last maybe month and a half, 2 months. I'm invited on the CAP board with ICP to sit in on the meetings there. But I have to say that just building a place right now in Wood Park, I'm a little nervous about the ramifications of emissions, noise, traffic, etc. I did a little research. We went to the Geismar plant and we took some noise level shots with a decibel meter. Then we shot took a golf range finder and shot some distances with some decibel readings, and we were reading anywhere from 67 decibels at one point at 550 feet away from a plant stack, and that was 200 feet from a fence, all the way from on the other side of the plant, 75 feet from a fence and 480 feet at 82 decibels. And I don't know if you know what 82 decibels sounds like, but you could try that on your radio. It's pretty loud. And again, the plant proposed is 4 times bigger than this plant. So when you put it into reality, you can't, I can send these pictures around and you can see for yourself, but it's a big facility. Talking about the location and the zoning, Max Derbius has a piece of property right here next to Alliance Refinery. It's already zoned heavy industrial. They're begging for a buyer. They said they're willing to subdivide. It's already here. It's on the river. There's 7,000 feet of dock space. It's all right here. It's 598 acres, ready to go. But yet they want to come put this right next to a community. And that's really hard to swallow. And I know you guys are doing your best and everybody wants it. Put it in an industrial park. Put it not next to communities. I mean, this is 500 feet from a fence line. We're not talking miles. We're not talking quarter of a mile. But there's another choice. There's another option. This isn't like this. I mean, and again, I brought this up, and they said the reason they have to be there is because of the gas line and the dock, the dock space. Well, they have maximum area for docking space, and I'm sure they could figure out how to run the pipeline 7 miles up the road. I mean, they run it through marshland, they run it through everywhere. So that's my spiel. I'm sure you guys are going to do what you want with it. We're just the little kid on the ballpark. But there is another option as far as a site goes, and I wish that was taken in context there. Thank you.
Anyone else in opposition? Who is that?
Good afternoon, Council, Parish President Cormier. I am Grace Morris with the Sierra Club. I live in New Orleans. Thank you so much for the time this afternoon to speak on this matter. I am here to appeal to this council to stand for innovative, long-term, healthy economic growth that does not force the Plaquemines Parish to choose one company's profits over the quality of life of its neighbors. We're not talking about a Dove household soap plant here. Indeed, if this was a light industrial facility, there would be no need to appeal for a change of zoning. As IGP spokesman Mr. Harris said today, I need emergency service backup. I've talked to fire services. This should be an alarm. This should not be comforting news about what kind of facility this council would approve being in its neighbors' backyards. One note on process before we get into some of the content of what's on the table before us is IGP has not bought this land. There is a permit application that's been submitted to the DEQ. That permit has not yet been granted. There's no permit application to DNR. There's not a permit application to the Army Corps of Engineers. We are really putting the cart before the horse right now. And so, if anything, I would encourage this council to delay this decision until it has more information, until we've seen the full application from this company and we have all of the impacts on the table. So just from the permit application to DEQ, and there was a hearing, a public hearing on this facility hosted by the Department of Environmental Quality back in September in Belle Chase. What kind of facility are we talking about here? A methanol chemical plant complex that is proposed for this land is 4 times the size of any existing methanol plant currently in the country. And so when we talk of, when you hear, the best technologies, and these technologies aren't used in these other plants, what that doesn't tell you is how large this facility is. And so when you're 4 times the size of other facilities, despite the use of the best technology, you still have greater pollution. And the air pollution from this proposed methanol facility includes 2.5 million tons of carbon emissions per year, a toxic carcinogenic soup of particulate matter, which is a fancy word for very toxic tiny particles of dust that can get into your lungs and cause a whole bunch of heart problems. Benzene, toluene, formaldehyde, ammonia, just to name a few. And so these are all the information that we have from IGP Methanol's own permit to the Department of Environmental Quality. And of course, this facility would be located right next door to Kinder Morgan's existing coal export terminal, which already gives off a lot of coal dust that your neighbors can talk to you about. And anyone who's ever launched a boat from Myrtle Grove can talk to you about coal dust. And so the coal dust and pet coke that's coming off of Kinder Morgan's existing IMT terminal, that would be coating this facility. It's also not nearly ironically, I think most people in here who have seen me before associate me with a Ram coal export terminal. And one of our complaints of that terminal was its health impacts and its nuisance impacts. And indeed, Wood Park and Myrtle Grove residents have won a nuisance lawsuit against Kinder Morgan and settled with that company, and continue to try to get their homes power washed when they're covered in coal dust. And I'm here to tell you that, unfortunately, a methanol complex and the emissions, that the pollution we'd see coming off of this industrial facility are much more toxic. They're invisible, which makes them even more toxic because it's easy to see coal dust. I think you're going to be seeing a sample later on this afternoon about what coal dust looks like. You can see it. We did during, actually Mr. Lawrence and some other folks had particulate matter monitors monitoring. We were seeing what's the particulate matter, I'm getting a little scientific here, what's the particulate matter 2.5 and particulate matter 10, these tiny particles that we know can be so disruptive to human health. What was that coming off of IMT's coal export terminal, and what would a new coal export terminal add to the accumulation of air pollution, and how would that degrade people's health and quality of life? And so we took those all into account, and this facility would be much more unhealthy for the surrounding communities. Unfortunately, one note about Louisiana law is Louisiana law isn't up to speed enough to enforce some of the best practices and best technology that IGP is promising. And so, unfortunately, we really can't rely on the lip service of a company that it's going to cut into its profits to use better quality technology. And again, as I said earlier, despite that better technology, because of the size of this facility, we're still going to see greater emissions and greater pollution than existing methanol facilities in Louisiana and in the country. One thing that was noteworthy in its application to the Department of Environmental Quality is IGP Methanol did do an environmental assessment and noted that it did not decide to site in Texas because there were nearby communities. And so the question I have before you today is, why are communities in Texas more valuable than communities in Louisiana? I think, what Mr. Jelpy said earlier today is, there are other solutions, there are other options, and not to rush ahead with this decision. I also want to note that this company has promised a lot of things. There has been a lot of talk about promising buyouts, about building a floodgate, silencing threats to not speak up, implying that people would never get business in the parish if they don't fall in line. And $3 billion is a really big promise for a company that has yet to purchase the land. I also do want to say that the concerns about hazards are real, and that communities and residential neighborhoods and light industrial properties are more resilient than these chemical complexes. We just saw during Hurricane Harvey in Texas what happens when a hurricane or just days of rain affect power outages and hit a chemical complex. And that was within 7 miles away from communities. We're talking about a huge industrial complex right across the street. I think this hopefully will spur a conversation about what is a safe zoning buffer and how do we protect residents. And so for a number of reasons, and I could go on and on, I won't. I know we've got a long meeting. I just really want to implore you to stand with your neighbors and to delay this decision until you either have all the information or know that right now what we have before us is enough to deny this application to change the flood zone zoning. Oh, and one more point that I do want to raise is to echo the confusion in the room, is why here? It's clear that Kinder Morgan has a financial impact or a financial incentive to change the zoning and presumably sell its property for more money than it could currently get were the zoning changed. That seems like a very special interest to change the zoning of one property owner so that they can get more money from a potential sale. And we've already heard there are other places where this methanol facility could be built. So I'll leave you with that today. Thank you so much for your time.
Is there any? Okay, Ms. Ramil?
Good evening. I am Linda Ramil. I reside at 115 Ramil Lane, Myrtle Grove, Louisiana. I live in Wood Park. I am here today to voice my opposition to the proposed IPG methanol complex to be built across from Wood Park and the proposed zoning change. Today, I would like to address the coal plant that is brought up at every meeting that I attend with the methanol plant. And I don't think it's ever been made clear why we keep bringing up the coal plant. The coal plant has spread coal dust for at least 10 miles for at least 20 years now. Nothing has ever been done about this. DEQ does not monitor this. They have never cited the coal plant for this except for one time that I know of, and it continues to happen over and over again. This is a swab from a porch downstairs underneath my house where we do entertaining. It's from a table that is stainless steel, and we usually put food on this. My husband pressure washed the entire house not 2 days ago. This is what was on that table today. The correlation between this and the methanol plant is that if this plant has never been cited and is continuously spreading coal dust on the land, the water, and over all these, within a 10-mile radius, why would we expect DEQ to go and check up on this plant? They will be monitoring themselves, just like the coal plant is doing. Okay. I am a retired public health nurse. My husband, who is also retired, was a former machinist. We built our retirement home in Wood Park 20 years ago, planning to live the rest of our life there. This is the life we want and how we want to live it. Our home is located in a rural, beautiful, safe area. We have water access, and we can go to the Gulf of Mexico by boat in 40 minutes. My home and many homes in Wood Park are located directly across the street from the proposed plant, within 200 feet of the proposed plant. It's going to be a very large plant, as we have been told, beginning in Myrtle Grove Marina on Highway 23 and ending at the International Marine Coal Terminal. From the highway, from directly on the highway to the river. There are 4 well-established communities within 2 miles of this proposed methanol complex. Phoenix on the east bank of the river, Ironton north of the facility, who have been there for at least 200 years, Myrtle Grove Estates, Wood Park, and Lake Hermitage. These communities are not camps. These are homes priced from $50,000 to $1 million. We contribute greatly to the economy and to Plaquemines Parish. This proposed methanol complex will have a huge negative impact on property values, health, and quality of our life. The construction and operation phase of this plant shows a callous disregard for the welfare of the people of the area surrounding this plant. And I hear today it's going to be a 5 to 7 years construction period. Can you imagine living across the street from this with this massive thing being built and having to listen to this noise for 5 to 7 years? Now you may say, why don't you move? My house has no value. I have a $500,000 home that has no value because of this. This is what Plaquemine Parish is offering me. Plaquemine Parish is known as paradise, the fishing capital of the world. The proposed methanol plant, the existing Alliance refinery, the grain elevator, the International Marine Coal Terminal, the bulk coal terminal, all these companies and more to come are going to change Plaquemine Parish image, their culture, their landscape, safety, the environment, and more. It will change the vision of Plaquemine Parish forever. What is known as Cancer Alley from Baton Rouge to New Orleans will be extended to the mouth of the river due to these chemical plants. I ask you today why. Why should we even consider sacrificing all we have for one company's profit? For at the end of this construction phase, 325 jobs. What is 325 jobs? You could open that hospital back in Port Sulphur and hire 325 people within a week's time to run that hospital. In conclusion, I would like to thank Councilmember Audrey True-Van Salvant for doing her job. As an elected official of the people, she listened to her constituents as to their feelings about this plant, then learned all she could about IGP. She considered the pros and cons of the plant, deciding, I'm sure, what is going to be best for Plaquemine Parish. Thank you so much for the time allotted me today, and please consider the pros and cons of accepting the IGP methanol plant into our parish and the effects it's going to have on the people surrounding this plant. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ramil, for the vote of confidence. And as a representative of that area of District 7, where this map change is going to take place, I support the individuals that is in opposition. As Ms. Ramil said, I do support industry, but it has to be clean industry. You know, we're talking about people's lives. You know, I hear the folks and I understand the economic stimulus that this plant can bring to this parish, especially at the time that we are in financial constraints right now. But economic impact is not always, it should not always be the driver. You know, people's lives, as I just said, is going to be at stake here. And from my perspective, I represent people. And I told Mr. Harris when I first met with him, when he came with the proposition to my office, told him, I said, my position is going to be based on what my constituents say. And I listened. I went to the zoning meeting. I listened to, even though they made the recommendation to approve the map change, I understand the process. But my position is still, as a representative, I have to stand with people. And my home is only going to be a couple of miles away from this industry. And we're talking about 200 plus years of a community that been within this parish. Not to take anything away from Ms. Ramil, who's a retired individual. She and her husband that going to be living directly across from this plant. So I need you guys to understand both sides of the argument. But for those that speaking on behalf of business and from other perspective, you don't have to live there. You don't have to live there. You're only going to pass there occasionally. And I can respect your opinion. You know, but I think the handwriting is on the wall. I think it's very clear. You know, I think the legwork has been done, but I still stand by my position. And I will be I will not be supporting this legislation. And based on that, I'll call a question.
I'd like to withdraw my second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Since you're not supporting, I'm going to withdraw my second.
I'll second.
Go ahead. Next, please, item number 8.
An ordinance to amend and amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District Map therein adopted by reference, and which is paired thereto with reference to application number 2017-261 dated August 14, 2017.
Solvent, you offer?
Yes, I offer, sir.
Is there a second? Yes, sir. It's seconded by Councilman H. Kong. Ms. Solvent?
Yes, just 688, yes. This is regarding a boat shed. This guy went before the council, went before the zoning board, and he wanted to get a zoning change also, to erect boat sheds within the community. And there was a lot of opposition from members that live within that area, mainly Martin Lane, because of safety reasons and many other concerns that these individuals had. It was a recommendation of the zoning board that to deny this request. So I think there are some individuals here. I want to give them the opportunity to come back and state their position and let you guys get a kind of understanding of what exactly going on there. I think we have some folks from Martin Lane.
Hello. My name is Wendy Danette Walker. I'm here representing my parents, Orman and Virginia Danette, 111 Martin Lane. We understand that the owners of the lots that want to be spot zoned are interested in putting boat sheds there. Why do we need to have it rezoned? There were boat sheds there before, so why is there a rezoning needed if there was already boat sheds? Prior to Katrina, there were like maybe 2 or 3 rows of boat sheds. A few years before Katrina hit, 1 row of the boat sheds burned down. Katrina took the other row of boat sheds. I personally think that the owner wants to have the property rezone commercial down a residential lane for financial reasons, for the sale of the property. There's already commercial property on Highway 23 down Martin's Lane. So when you go down Martin's Lane, there's commercial property there already. It's a very small community, very small lots. Family members, it's all family that live down the lane. Family and lifelong friends live down the lane. The kids use the lane as their playground because it's a very small area. So if it's rezoned commercial down a residential lane, are we setting a precedent for what's going to happen in the parish? What's going to happen if somebody owns an empty lot in Belchase? Are they going to be okay to rezone that commercial? Is that what we're going to do? I don't know. So I'm in opposition of it. I just don't think that we should have this property down a residential lane, rezone commercial, just to benefit one individual. If we are going to spot zone, I think it should be spot zone for something that's going to benefit the community and enhance the community. What is he going to do? Is he going to sell it? What is he going to put there? We don't know. Is it going to be a bar? Is it going to be a gaming facility? That may be a little far-fetched, but we don't know what's going to go there. You know, like I said, it's a very small community. The kids use that area as their playground. So just consider that when you guys are voting.
Mr. Chairman, before anyone else speak,
Yes.
I think we read the wrong one. We did the one for the approval, right? And the recommendation from the board, from the zoning board, was to deny. So I needed to move to K, Ms. Barber. We needed to move to KK first.
I'll remove myself.
Yes, okay.
Do KK, please.
A resolution denying the requested map change filed by Happy Jack Properties LLC from A2 Rural or Agricultural Zoning District to C-2 General Commercial Zoning District for properties designated for as lots 18, 19, and 20 of Martin Subdivision, Martin Lane, Port Sulphur, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, all in accordance with application number 2017-261.
Solomon off first. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll throw it back up.
Second, Mr. Ashcombe. Solomon?
Yes. We can have the rest of the individuals speak on,
This is to deny.
this is to deny.
Yes. My name is Linda Espadron. I live across from where the boat sheds are going to be. We have had boat sheds over there before. There have boaters that come in, have been drinking a little. They'll use the bathroom in front of anybody. And kids are out there playing. Or you sitting on your porch, and you have to look at all that.
Hello. My name is Norman Espadron. I live at 118 Espadron Lane. And they wants to build boat sheds, down our street. But they already have one set of boat sheds built on the other side of the levee. They already got one set of boat sheds over there. And they could build how many more they want on the other side, because they don't need to put it in our place where we live. Because they got plenty of land on the other side of the levee. They could put more boat sheds if they want to, instead of putting it in our street.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Espadron, 122 Martins Lane, and we do not want it there because of the safety hazard. And as I said in the zoning meeting, I can't sleep as it is. Nobody wants to hear this noise all day and all night in the early morning hours when they're coming out fishing. So please vote no. Thank you.
Just to reiterate what I already said, you know, if it's boat sheds that he wants to put there, why do we need a rezoning? Boat sheds were already there. So why does it have to be rezoned? I think I really do truly believe that personally he wants it rezoned commercial for the profits when it's sold. But there's already commercial property on Highway 23. So we're asking you guys to not approve it. Thank you.
Councilman Lapine, then Councilman Black.
Ma'am, before you go, I got a question.
Yes.
You previously stated that it was a boat shed before. What is it now? Just vacant land?
It's vacant land.
You don't
And he had
You've
it.
got pilings and stuff on it, or from the old boat shed, or just
No.
vacant land?
It's vacant land. Yeah,
Okay.
there's 3 lots. They're vacant. It's vacant lots. He had them up for sale, residential, I believe. Yeah, well, it's agricultural, farming agricultural zoning right now, and it just never did sell. And I do know that the owner of the property also owns property on the other side of the levee towards the bayous. So I don't know if this is some type of package deal that he is trying to propose and put together to bring value to his property by rezoning, and that is my concern. You know, he's also confronted family members of mine to try to package our property together into a commercial bundle to get greater profits. Our property is not for sale, so that's not going to work. I just, you know, I have family members that still live down the lane, down Martin's Lane. And again, it's a very small community. You know, my family members, my cousins, they use the small lots, they use the road as their playground. We don't know if he resells the property, what type of business is going to be placed there. You know, it may sound far-fetched when I say a bar or a gaming facility, but we don't know what he's going to place there. So it's a concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Black?
Mitra, Ms. Sullivan said it lost on the zoning board. What were the numbers on that? You know, Pam? Or Ms. Sullivan?
What's that?
The zoning board, the numbers?
Yes.
I know it lost, but what was
Okay.
it?
She would have them.
10-1.
Okay.
So as you just heard, it was a recommendation of the zoning board to deny this request. So I'm asking that we honor that.
Ms. Williams?
I just have one question, Ms. Rose, in reference to the young lady's question. Why does it need to be rezoned if boat sheds were there? Is it just because he's asking it to be rezoned commercial and you don't know the intent of what's to be put there?
He lost the non-conforming rights to rebuild the boat sheds. There were boat sheds existing
Oh, he
prior
didn't
to
rebuild them in
Hurricane
a time?
Katrina. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, and he
In that
did not
time frame.
build it
Okay.
within the 6 months
Thank
that
you.
allotted.
Thank you.
Sullivan calls for the question.
Yes, I do.
Machine is open.
Yes.
What we voting on again?
To deny. This is to deny.
Yes or no? Huh?
Yeah.
It passed 7 yes and 2 no's.
You didn't. Yeah. Yes. I need you to withdraw.
Wait. I'll call for reconsideration. Call the question.
Read the question.
To vote again, please. Or revote. The thing is for yes or denial. That's why I asked the question.
Yes.
All right. All right, the machine is open. Now I'm going to vote yes.
Uh-oh. I can't get it to.
I did. I voted.
Okay.
All right, 8-1.
Somebody still voted.
Okay, Mr. John, I need you to go back. I need you to withdraw 6GG and 6LL,
6GG and 6LL has been withdrawn.
and then withdraw
Would like to-
6JJ.
Okay, but we can go, yeah, I and JJ.
No, not 6JJ, I'm sorry, 6KK.
Well, let's go with I.
6A8.
Yes.
6A8, I'm sorry.
You want to move to 6A8?
And I need you to, no, I need
Withdraw. All right.
I need you to move to 6II.
Yeah, we're going to go to 6II, then 6JJ.
Withdraw.
Withdraw 8. Yeah, 6A8 is withdrawn. I mean, withdrawn, no, sir? Yeah.
6II.
Now we're at 6II, please.
6II, a resolution approving the requested variance filed by Francis Bartholomew to vary the corner side yard requirements from 10 foot to 4 foot for a new raised modular home located at 110 Landry Lane, West Point, Lahash, Louisiana, all in accordance with application number 2017-259 dated August 7, 2017.
Sullivan offers.
Yes, I offer.
I'll second. Ms.
Yeah.
Sullivan?
Okay, this is actually a request that was made by Ms. Frances Bartholomew. She needed a variance on a new property that's going to be erected down in West Point, Lahash. She needed for a variance on a corner side yard. She needed to go from a 10 foot to 10 feet to 4 feet. And this too, it was a dispute between family members, and during the zoning meeting, they was able to come together and get an understanding, and they both agreed. So everything was resolved at the zoning board. So the zoning board approved this request also, recommended approval of this request, and I'm asking you guys to approve it.
Any questions from the table? Audience, machine is open. Eight one.
Next, please.
Wait, come on, no, reconsideration. My nails, reconsideration.
Who?
My nails are getting in the way.
Did I do that?
No, I did it.
Reconsider vote, please.
I'm sorry.
All right, machine is open. Please vote.
My God. Yeah, I need a.
All right, 9-0, perfect score. Next item, please. JJ?
I already told us.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I already told him that.
You want to withdraw JJ, you sure?
Yeah,
There are two different people on it.
yeah, I told you that earlier.
All right, we're going to defer JJ or withdraw JJ.
Withdraw.
All right. Let's go back to the first page. Get back in order.
We should never do this again. Put all of these.
B, C, and D were adopted. G, B, C, and D.
Do we have any proclamations? Mr. President, I'll give you a report.
There's probably Lapine's campaign sign he got a permit for. Two of them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to, for the record, my name is President Amos Cormier. This is the status report for October 27th through November 9th, 2017. And to begin with, I'd like to ask for a moment of silent prayer on behalf of Mr. Bill Serpaz and his family. Mr. Serpaz became the Director of Public Service under the Petrovich administration back around 1987. He served honorably through the Giordana and Roussel administrations and has continued to serve this parish. So I'd just like to ask a moment of prayer. Thank you. On October 27th, we had a meeting with EIP. EIP is the entity that Mitigation Bank, with whom a administration before my father's purchased $7 million of wetland mitigation credits. Pursuant to a contractual obligation, we are cooperating fully with them and also in an effort to try to obtain some use of the $7 million purchase. That meeting was a preparatory meeting for a subsequent meeting that took place on the 30th, in which we conducted a teleconference with the Corps headquarters, Major General Jackson, who's in charge up there. And we've achieved a small victory. The Corps did agree that they're going to reissue a subsequent environmental assessment as regarding brackish and saline marsh. So we're going to continue working hard for the parish to try to recoup some of that investment. And hopefully we're moving in the right direction, but it's a slow bureaucratic process. We had a meeting also on the 30th with the Health Department, Mr. Ray Ferrer, regarding smoking cessation. I do believe Mr. Ferrer was trying to get that number up. There's a parish hotline, a parish assistance number that, I shouldn't say it's not parish, it's paid for by the state, in which individuals who need help, who desire to stop smoking, can call this hotline and obtain the help needed, including but not limited to nicotine patches and whatnot, chemical aid to help cease smoking. In regards to this is where we really could use the help and assistance of a public information officer to get this information out. This is something that the individuals who want to quit smoking, there's a number, there's a hotline, and there's help available. It's just we really are in dire need of a public information officer to help distribute this type of information. We had on November 2nd, I attended a zoning and land law conference in New Orleans. This administration wants to be up to date with the most recent developments in law and try to be, instead of reacting, try to be proactive and staying on top of these matters and issues. On November 2nd, we had I want to thank former Senator A.G. Crow and Larry Rodell. They're with the Legit Board. They've been very professional and courteous in keeping the administration up to date on their activities, and they have informed me they are moving forward. I've informed them that we want to make sure, and it's no secret here, that this administration has always been a strong protector of the local autonomy and the local rights of this parish government, which includes the Plaquemines, Port Harbor, and Terminal District. And so while I thank Senator A.J. Crow for the update and the professionalism and courteousness in keeping me in the loop with their activities, desired port activities, I also stated to him, though, that under our charter, we definitely have jurisdiction. And so I'll continue as they, naturally, they said that they have some investors. I'll continue to track this, but we do, this administration will assert the rights, the jurisdictional rights of Plaquemines Parish government, and a component of Plaquemines Parish government is the district that's encompasses the Port Harbor and Terminal District. We had a wonderful event, Forest Fest at Woodlands Conservancy on Saturday. Ms. Katie Bradstead and I discussed the possibility of an amphitheater. On occasion, I toured Heritage Park in Slidell, and there they have an amphitheater there, and Ms. Bradstead and the Woodlands Conservancy has been discussing building an amphitheater there at Woodlands Park, and I thought that would be a wonderful idea. Naturally, the problem remains of how to pay for it, but we'll keep up to date on that. There was a very successful alumni basketball game at South Plaquemines. Monies were raised for the local community, and I want to thank everyone who participated. On November 6th, we had a regular Director Giles, Director Frelish, and some of our superintendents had a meeting at which we're trying to, this administration is changing gears now that we're moving into the winter season in November and the grass isn't growing as fast. We're trying to accommodate as many requests from council members as possible. And so we'll continue doing that. It's something that during the summer months, grass cutting is so the grass growing is so prolific that has to take precedence. But now, hopefully, we'll have this cold weather will linger. Grass won't grow as fast, maybe possibly not as much rain, and allows us to focus on diversify our work projects. Had a meeting also on November 6th with the tax audit from the tax department. Met with the civil service department, and we also had a annual courthouse district meeting, all on November 6th. November 7th, solid waste north, solid waste south, and the administration met with Waste Pro, and I think that's on the agenda for executive session, so I'll withhold comments, further elaboration. Met with Chief Robichaux. We're happy to report one of the ambulances that were in the shop for repairs has since been released. So that's going to, I think it's ambulance number 30, might be 3670, don't quote me on the number. But we still have two others in the shop, and I'll continue tracking that with the help of Chief Robichaux. I want to congratulate and compliment our legal team, and on a few days back, we had an order from federal court regarding the BP litigation, and I'll just read what the order says, and I quote from page 3. It is ordered that the parish's motion for dismissal is granted. It is further ordered that interveners' motion for fees and costs is dismissed. In sum, Plaquemines Parish government's motion was granted, and the New Orleans attorney's motion was dismissed. Now, we're talking about $6.5 million of taxpayer money. This administration will continue to fight, see to it that the taxpayers get the most amount of that money possible. As you all know, that was this BP settlement was the largest settlement in the history of the parish, and that's what's greatly helped us move forward this year, because we would have had cash shortage problems in August, serious ones. I want to thank council members, Chairman Bartholomew, council members Trufant, council member Juneau, and council member Russo for attending the pre-council meeting yesterday. As on another side note, I'll note that the Saudis have been cutting crude exports by about 120,000 barrels a day. All prices are now at over $57 a barrel. Brent crude's over $64 a barrel. So those are positive developments. There's geopolitical matters that are shaping this, but those are good for the parish. And with that, I'd like to call up the Greco Construction. If we have just a brief PowerPoint to show the work that they've been doing on the Batcher, and which is necessary for our levy certification process.
How y'all doing today? We just got a quick PowerPoint to show y'all. I apologize. My name's Lane Greco, Belchase, District 5. I'm assisting the parish with the levy clearing of the right-of-way for the Corps of Engineers all along the river Batcher, both East Bank and West Bank. And I'm waiting to show. I just wanted to give y'all an update and show you what we're doing. That's going to take a second. Well, we started at Belchase. I'll do a quick rundown. We started at Belchase Ferry on the West Bank. Went from there to about Jotun, and we was instructed that they put us in the wrong area, so they relocated us to just by the wall by Captain Larry's. And from there, we went all the way to the Point LaHash Ferry, cleaning the river Batcher of all debris, draining water that was stuck up against the levee, and then was instructed to turn around, come back, and move the debris further into the wood line from where we left it. So we turned around from Point LaHash, started heading back up, and we were met by another contractor that was put behind me, and we met at the coal terminal. And at that time, we was finished on this side with what we done on the West Bank. Then they moved us all the way around to the parish did, moved us all the way around to Bohemia, and we started in Bohemia, and we're now between Bohemia and the Point LaHash Ferry. We're in a very difficult area. The area we're in currently right now, we drained about 2 to 3 foot of water off the River Batcher and moved about 3 to 4 foot of debris that was in this one area. We even took pictures of a nice beaver hive that really, they had a lot of water in the area. He was thriving really well. But if the pictures came up, but if there's any questions y'all would have, because I think this was on the last council meeting, people was inquisitive about what we're doing as a private contractor working for the parish. If there's anybody that has any questions, I'd even feel free to come to the area because we're not far from where we are right now. Anyway.
You said you.
Thank you. Councilman Black?
I'll wait till Mr. Greco's finished, I guess, with his. Do you want to?
Nobody.
Oh. I know he's waiting for. He has a slide presentation.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Greco.
Yes.
Oh. When do we do a levee cleanup? Is it generally in the spring when the Corps calls for an inspection, or should we be doing it proactive as now?
Well, time frame, I wouldn't know that because it's been a long time since I've been. I used to work for the municipality as well, done the same type of work that I'm doing now for the heavy equipment department. And it's been a while. I really couldn't answer that.
Because just my concern is if springtime comes before they call the levee inspection, we get a high river event. Is that likely to push a lot of that debris back out?
I would say that could happen. Yes, absolutely, that could happen.
Okay, that's just my concern. My concern is, are we doing work that is not needed yet, or until the levee, the Corps calls the inspection, then we do the work? So that's that. I guess I don't know the process either. Right. I'm just trying to find out what is the process.
Is there a date that the Corps set to? I know you have it completed. The Corps should have a date for y'all, and once that date is known, it should be clean before then. That's
so you don't know what date. They have not signaled a date that they're going to inspect the levee.
I have no idea about that, Councilman.
Okay.
Lapine.
Okay. That's my. I guess my concern is, we're doing something premature.
I totally understand your question, sir.
No. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Councilman Black? Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes.
Greco?
Yeah.
For him?
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Greco, you said you were placed in one location, and then you were told you was in the wrong location. You had to move to another location.
Yes, sir.
Was there any additional cost to the parish for that?
Absolutely not. The parish lowboy actually moved the machine. It was actually y'all a lowboy that moved my machine.
All right, so the parish truck moved your machine?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, cool. Now, next question. You mentioned you went down the river, turned around, and came back up the river, pushing the debris towards the
further
trees.
into the wood tree line.
Okay, so my question, two-point question. When the river comes up, is it going to flow right back where it was?
If it
Why
does,
wasn't the stuff
if it
removed?
does, I would say yes. If the river does come up, yes, that could
Does it
happen.
go right back where it was at?
It could happen, yes, sir. Absolutely.
That's all, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Williams?
I have, following up with that, is it standard procedure to just push it up on the bank, or should we remove it?
There's
So
a
it
right of
won't-
way. There's a right of way that you got to have so much from the toe of the levee.
Right.
By the bottom of the slope.
But High River's going to push it back out, and you'll have to come and do this process again.
It depends on when the date that the Corps sets, and I don't know that
Well,
information.
it's my understanding we just had levee inspections in either June or July.
I don't know that.
What side? I don't know if it was parish-wide or what. And another question, you went as far as the Point LaHash Ferry because that's what you were directed to do. And whose direction are you under, the parish president's or the heavy equipment department?
I think it was Director of Operations, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so my question there would be, there's no levee batcher on the west bank south of the Point LaHash Ferry? We have 50-something more miles of levee on the west bank.
Well, we met the parish workers coming northbound, and we will stop because they completed everything, so.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
That's it. Mr. President, you have some comments, questions?
We have a PowerPoint presentation, we're just trying to address the technical issues, but with that, I have nothing more.
Councilman Black?
Yeah, I have just something to point out, Mr. President. It has nothing to do with the Badger Lane. I think we're going to come back to that in a few minutes. But
Okay.
in reference to the item you pointed out about legit in the terminal at milepost 12, this council, as the sole governing authority of the Port Harbor and Terminal District, had some discussions with the executive director, and it is very clear to us that, number one, no one was notified about this to include this governing body, nor was the executive port director. So we met on that today. He's already met with former Senator A.G. Crow, as well as other members of that board. And just to be clear, we would definitely welcome you to attend some of those meetings with the executive director and this council. I want to reference Louisiana Revised Statute 3493B, which states that in regards to legit development, that when such properties or facilities are located within the jurisdiction of an existing port commissions or port, harbor, or terminal districts, or the offshore terminal authority, legit shall enter into cooperative governing agreement with the local governing authority, the appropriate existing port commission, port, harbor, and terminal district or offshore terminal authority. And if you reference the Charter 4.01A27 on the legislative powers, it specifically states that this council is that sole governing authority. So I just want to point out the jurisdiction to you that this council, serving as the sole governing authority, and the executive director has full jurisdiction over legit in that matter. I'll have our attorney send the parish attorney this legislation, just so you guys can be clear. But we do welcome you as the parish president to attend those meetings to facilitate this project.
Councilman Black, so are you informing me that I was misinformed today when I was told that my presence was not wanted in the port meeting this morning?
No, you wasn't misinformed. We didn't want you there because, or at least
That's what
I did.
That's what I thought. So,
No.
So I've been excluded. So this talk about that flowery language about welcoming me. That's not the case.
No, it is the case. Now, this is what happened.
You just said I was not welcome.
Well, let me explain to you. Okay, can I go? You want me to finish? All right, let me explain to you, Mr. President, why you were not welcome in executive session. Because the executive session was a lot about you. And the reason why it was about you is because you went around this council's governing authority of the port, sir, 1 second, and had conversations with legit when it clearly states in state law that this council has that authority. And at no time was this council or me as the port chairman or Sandy Sanders, the executive director, was ever notified about those conversations that you had with people from the legit board going back for many months. So we wanted to meet as the governing body of the port to make a determination on which path we would go forward. And during those conversations, we all agreed that the state law is pretty clear of who has that jurisdiction, but we also agreed that we would welcome the president's attendance at a lot of these meetings because we do want to have your support. So,
And Councilman Black, the glaring duplicity was first stated, like you said, I'm welcome, but you specifically admitted I was not welcome. Putting that issue aside, I would welcome, please have your attorneys from this district, please have them send a legal opinion expressing this, because the second flaw with your rationale is that this administration is taking a coherent legal approach which will protect the local autonomy. And when you go run and seek cover on the state law, you're setting this district up for a hostile takeover. So please have the attorneys, though, send me a letter, because I know that's another expenditure, because the charter's quite clear that the parish attorney represents all districts. And I know you want to spend money on other outside attorneys, but please have them send me a letter, to address that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, now move to the next item, please. Yes, come on, you want to go bids? Let's do bids and advertising.
Have a resolution authorizing, I'm Brenda Stanford, Parish Purchasing Agent.
It's not on.
I'm sorry. I'm Brenda Stanford, Parish Purchasing Agent. I have a resolution authorizing the purchase agent to advertise for and dispose of surplus vehicles and equipment on an as-is basis through public auction conducted by Henderson Auction. Periodically, the parish has numerous pieces and types of equipment and vehicles which are surplus or no longer in working condition and need to be disposed of. It is my recommendation that the parish dispose the surplus equipment and vehicles through public auction, whereas Henderson Auction will pick up and dispose of surplus and junked equipment as directed.
I offer. Second by Mr. Russo. Questions from the table?
Just want to thank Ms. Stanford for attaching the list.
You're welcome.
Audience, any questions? Hearing none, the machine is open.
I think we need to do a verbal, John, because they're having a problem.
The machine will be me.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Black?
Yes.
Councilmember Lapine?
Yes.
Councilmember Juneau? Councilmember Roussel?
Yes.
Councilmember Bartholomew?
Yes.
Councilmember Burt? Yes. Councilmember Trufant-Salvant? Yes. Councilmember Edgecombe?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams? Resolution passes 9-0.
Want to show your statute?
Yeah, we can.
I'll try to make this brief because I know it's been extended. I apologize. Is it okay if I walk up over there and I can show you and I can go through each one of these slides? High tech. Oh, geez. Okay, I'll stand on this side. If you can see the purple line, this is where we started here on the West Bank, and this is the area we covered to here. And then we actually turned around and went back and came about halfway to where the coal plant is. And that's when we stopped, and then they moved us around, and we started right here in Bohemia, and we're now about halfway between Bohemia and the Point LaHash Ferry, because that is the Point LaHash Ferry right here. We also took video footage from where we are to where the road splits right here by the Phoenix, where you can go to River Road or Back Road, and there's a lot of water that is held along this this area. I'll show you in the slides. This is what our work looks like. We drained about 1.5 foot of water. This is right south of the coal plant, where there's a little road that goes back, and there is actually a dock right here where a tugboat company is. We drained 1.5 foot of water. This will give you an idea what it looked like after we drained it. You can go on. The same area. This is all in the same area. This is our work. I don't know if you can see it too good. This is what it looks like when we finish. You can go on. This is also south of the coal plant. This is right by the coal plant, before the coal plant. And this is us. We actually dig a little swale ditch, which is right along, that follows the tree line. And we take the additional dirt that we take from there, and we shore up the levee, which builds up here to where it wasn't built up before, because the water would just sit here. Now we have a drainage ditch and to let the water out. This is also a finished product of what it looks like when we finish. We take a little bit of dirt from here. That was on the west bank. This is on the east bank. Bohemia's over here. This is your little shell area where y'all used to get in limestone and river rock. This is what we're working on right now. That's the amount of water we drained off of this area. And it's time consuming because you're working on mats. This is the amount of debris you have in front of you, which I have to move out the way, dig a little ditch, take the mud, put it against the levee, shore up the levee, and drain the water. Give you an idea, this is what it looks like from an aerial shot. And I know it's taking, it's time consuming, especially when you're working off of mats. And you can see how once we get the ditch dug, the water drains from by the levee into the canal until we do our little fallout ditch. And this is the same photograph in that same area. That's why it's taking so long. We take the mud from here, we put it here, and it's actually a soft material. And I have to use a certain procedure to give it this kind of finish. But it's now high to where it's not holding water like it did before. This is how much water you have from here, I guess, to this first little community, the last little community on the River Road. This will give you an idea. Y'all actually had a lot of crawfish in this area for the locals. And you can see how I took all the water from here and put it in this ditch. Go ahead, babe. And it's the same thing, same thing. This is the amount of water showing. And we made us a little road. This is where we was going to do the fallout ditch to bring all of that water to. Here's
That's down in Point Lash?
This is, yes, sir.
Bohemia?
Between Bohemia.
That's dry now.
Oh, yes, sir.
I rode the levee. I was just thinking.
Yeah. And look, this is what it was before. And here you go again. It's the same procedure. I just want to show, it's just time consuming in this kind of area. This is the fallout ditch we dug. I think we got a nice little video we can show y'all. Once we let the water loose, and now it's dry right now. This is the area. And it's the same. And you can see how I had the water, and this is ditch that I dug, the fallout ditch. Once I complete the cut, the water just runs out. This is further up in another little area. Okay, this is the ditch that I was telling you, that fallout ditch we dug. This is the water running off your batcher. And this is what the Corps does not want up against the levee. Absolutely not. And right now, the way this is, the water's trapped there. There's no way to go. Now you can see I done made the cut and the water's rolling. Go ahead to the next one. Is that the video? This will give you an idea what it looks like with the machine working. And it's time consuming. Taking the mud, putting good mud to shore up the levee. You're actually putting more material closer to the levee to protect it. And that's something we did in the past when I worked for the parish with my daddy.
While we're looking at that, can I ask a couple of questions?
Absolutely, Mr. Russo.
This procedure of putting trenches into the rocks, that's been going on in the parish for probably 40, 50 years, right?
Absolutely.
Now, how long do you think it's been since these levee batches have been cleared?
It seems like a while, Mr. Russo. Seems like a while.
So we're catching up on neglected maintenance?
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
And the second question is, I like the video photography. Who did that?
One of my guys.
You have a drone?
Yes, sir. And we're going to, if y'all can allow us to continue getting just the wet areas it's really bad on the East Bank, we can do these drone videos, give y'all footage, and keep y'all updated and show you everything that we're doing.
Right, but it's all basically the same.
Absolutely.
So I think that's great video, and I've seen enough.
But I think this is, if y'all would like copies for yourself, we can actually do that for y'all. We'd love to.
I'll be glad to take a copy and look at it another time.
Absolutely. And this is what the area looks like now.
Looks good.
I just have one question. As it relates to like digging these ditches and trenches,
Yes, sir.
Is that something that has to be permitted through the Corps prior to excavating?
No, sir, we've done that when I worked for the parish. That was a process. Anytime you come with an area that has a lot of water, you have to drain it off. They do not want the water on the Batcher, close to the levee. You have these little fallout ditches. They've been doing that since, like Mr. Russell said, 40 years or better. And it's not, you're thinking of a ditch. I'm talking, that's probably about a 1 to 2 foot ditch. No more than this. But I'm taking that material and shoring it up against the levee. So you're going to have more material protecting your levee when there's a high river. And when it drains, when the river goes down, now look, you can see how much, look at the dryness. This is the last little area we did because this little, I don't know what this is. It's an electrical line that's crossing over the levee, and it's right underneath the ground, and there's no markings. So I don't know if this is hot or if it's not, but it's a little, and I think they should put some kind of sign on it for whoever this belongs to. But you can see, look at it, this is what it looks like now. We even had people that said, man, we've never seen this in this condition in years. And this is how it's drying out.
Mr. President, question?
Yes, and I would be remiss, and pardon me, Mr. Greco, but I omitted, also request prayers. We lost Mr. Lionel Greco as well, and he was a long-time superintendent, faithful servant of Plaquemines Parish government, and our prayers and hearts go out to
Thank you.
the family.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Well, he's the great man that taught me a lot of this. And I hope to continue his legacy. And this is an aerial footage of the whole area. You can see our little ditch. And it's doing its job. Look how this is drying. Incredible. And I tell you what, there's no Corps man that would say that this is bad. Every person that from the Corps of Engineers is going to love this right here, especially when it's dry. We got one more video. We got one more video, and this is actually showing another area just as bad as this. And it starts from the coal plant going to the split in the road on the further up north right here. Yes.
Hi. Mr. Vidal? Mr. Greco, currently your contract is operating under the state of emergency that was filed. Is that correct?
My understanding, yes, ma'am.
No? Mr. President?
Mr. Greco's contract ended on November 3rd, which was a date that the state of emergency terminated. And the reason part of this presentation is that given the manpower shortage and heavy equipment, we certainly think that Greco Construction does good work and would like, wanted to show that work. So in the event that in budget hearings coming up, if this, we have some, I believe I have some heavy equipment people in there, but depending on how we finish up with that, something for this council's consideration.
That was my question, because it seems like he's doing a good job. That's why I was asking the terms of his contract. So right now he's working, he's currently working still, no more, you're done?
No.
Okay.
Now this is the area north of the coal plant that's not done. This area right here is saturated with water, and it's just as bad as what I just came from. And you'll see, we took video footage, and you'll be able to see the, and this grass right here is anywhere between this to this tall. And that's Associated Grain Terminal. Now we're going to have one more video, I think it is, that goes from here. Yes, it goes further north. This will give you an idea of your water. And I think this was a helpful, just to get y'all to have an understanding of what's going on. And you can actually see how much the trees have encroached on the levee. When I worked for Heavy Equipment Department years ago, you had at least 3 to 4 dozer blades wide, and the trees are already encroaching. And you can see the water. And it goes on. It's redundant, everything I'm going to be telling you from this point forward, because you see what it is. I have to put a number on that. I would not know, but I know some of these trees that we've seen. There was actually a place of some small willow trees growing. It was about a 2 to 3 year growth that we seen on the willow trees. That was between the levee and your tree line. It was in this area that the willow trees were growing, but which was further north. No, ma'am. I did not. We skipped that area.
That's got to be a huge reduction in mosquito issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's an excellent point. I never even thought about that. That was excellent. Why did I? It wasn't by my choice. And you can see, look how close the tree is to the trees are to the levee, the toe of the levee. That's it. And this is all, from where we at right now, all the way to where the road splits by Phoenix, that whole batch needs to be done. And we'd love to be the ones to help y'all along.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. If there's any more questions, feel free.
At this time, we'll move, Ms. Williams.
No, I wanted to, since we're completing the presidential address, I had one question about the ambulance service. Did we provide Mr. Robichaux with the numbers that he was looking for to be able to provide to the other people, like West Jeff or whatever? The financial information?
I have obtained numbers from Chief Robichaux. You talking about the numbers that Councilman Black requested? I have those.
I don't know if he requested them or not. I just know that we've been in discussion for some time, and the last I had heard that Mr. Robichaux was on vacation and couldn't provide the information to the Plaquemines Medical Center connection there. Financial information on the ambulance. I don't know if it's the same information he requested or not.
Yeah, a few members of the council met with members of the fire department. You and your staff was requested to attend the meeting as well. I think you guys must have had some other obligations that day. I couldn't attend. But we had folks from some private companies, emergency medical service providers, attend, and we asked them for some proposals. They needed some data, and this was a couple weeks ago. The chief was supposed to provide them with the data. We were pretty much told that no data was provided. So on November 6th, I think that was Monday, I sent an email to you, the rest of the council, and the chief and your director and legal to provide me with that information, since it wasn't going to be provided to the chief, and I still haven't heard anything back. So I think it's the same information that Mr. Roussel's talking about.
I requested when I saw your email, Councilman Black, to the best of my knowledge, I haven't, that topic, when I met with Chief Robichaux, we discussed the ambulances that were being worked upon. I had no knowledge that any information was being held up. I assume that Chief Robichaux is working as diligently as possible. I do have
he's pointing the finger.
Some of the answers that to some of the questions that you requested, Councilman Black, in your email. I received that from Chief Robichaux.
Okay, can you forward that to me and everyone CC'd on an email, please? That way we can get those providers that data, so they can give us analysis on what services could be provided, etc.
Yeah, I've got a copy for you here if you want, but I can.
Yeah, just I like soft copies. Just email it to me, please. I appreciate it.
Sure, and let me say this while we're still on presidential report. Thank y'all for trying to get some of the work orders done. I sent my 5 in, and I look forward to getting them done. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me, because I'll be glad to explain them if they're not currently explainable?
We're working on that as we speak. We have several projects going today, and Miss Nicole Williams, we have a little project going on at Fort Jackson for her and her district. And to continue with the levy thing, I received an email just this morning on the reports of the levy inspection, and Mr. Greco has to continue doing this, or some contractor has to continue to do this, because the Corps, in their report, we had like, I think about 8 problems that we had with the levy, and one of them was these. They did pass the levy inspection, but they telling me now that we have to get this done within a year or we will be decertified. And there's other small projects in the levees that has to be fixed within the year, including these culverts on this side of the river. We're having problems with these culverts. That also has to be done within a year. If we don't get them done, well, then we got a problem. So I don't know what y'all plan on doing with the contract with this batcher, but we do need to work on that. So I just wanted to bring that to you.
Are the levees on the East Bank decertified now?
No, everything has been passed, but these questions have to be, these problems have to be corrected within a year, or we will have problems. And I can send you a copy of the email that they sent me this morning, and it'll cover most of what you need to know. So I just wanted to bring that up to your attention. So, are there any other questions that I might be able to answer?
I just would like to say that I want to give a shout out to all of the employees that's making these requests possible. Understand that you have been assigned as head over these departments and Stanley's absent, but there's folks like Robert Jackson and Bradford Brooks and Mike Seal. Those guys are working tremendously hard in meeting all of the needs of the different districts. So I just wanted to make sure that we give the accolades out to everybody.
Definitely. Okay? It's not me. These guys, I just asked them to do the projects that y'all turned in. These guys are doing a great job. Yes, and I'd like to also mention that, we do have more time now because we're not building sandbags. We don't have to cut grass on the levees. We're catching up with that. We are not cleaning the batches. Mr. Greco here is doing that. And it's helping us out a little bit to get some of this work done. We also have the state cutting the grass on the highway, so I don't want to take all the credit, but I appreciate you guys working with us, and we're doing the best we can. So we're going to continue to do that, and thank you for your patience. And as soon as we get these 5 priority projects that y'all turned in, we'll ask for 5 more, and we'll continue to work that way, because the problem is if you get too many coming in at one time, it gets to be overwhelming, and we just need, we'll work on 5 at the time, and, we'll get it done. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, that's it? Finish?
Yes.
Okay. This time we'll go to Ms. Williams, then Mr. Burt, Mr. Black, Councilman William Black.
I just wanted
You want to move to what item?
No, I just wanted to comment. Just one thing, I want to reiterate what Ms. Audrey said about a job well done by the employees of the Heavy Equipment and Prom Department under the direction of Mr. Frelish. I think that these guys were always willing to do a phenomenal job, and now they're being allowed to. So thank you, Mr. Frelish, and pass it on to those employees as well.
Now, move to your legislation, please.
Yes, 6NN, please.
6NN, a resolution approving the request for a conditional use by Oliver E. Kirby Estate to construct an airstrip/heliport in an A2 rural or agricultural zoning district located on a portion of the Oliver E. Kirby subdivision, Highway 23, Triumph, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, all in accordance with application number 2017-260, dated July 17, 2017.
Ms. Williams, you offer?
Yes, I do.
Second by Councilman Ashcombe. Ms. Williams?
Yes, this request went in front of the zoning board, and it was approved. I had no objections that came to my office regarding this request, so I would ask for everyone's support.
Any other questions from the table? Audience, sheet is open. Passes 9-0. Councilman Black?
I would like to withdraw MM, please.
M is withdrawn. Councilman Black, do you have something you want to move to?
Yes,
R.
yes, Mr. Chairman.
R.
Under R.
R, a resolution approving the request for a conditional use by Brighter Horizon to construct a child care facility in an I-1 Industrial Park zoning district located on lots 59 and 60 of the Woodland Industrial Park subdivision, Square 1, Keating Drive, Belle Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, all in accordance with application number 2017-269, dated September 26, 2017.
Offer.
Second by Mr. Roussel and Lapine. Councilman Black.
Basic approval of a business that is currently listed within the conditional use. It was voted on at the zoning board, passed. Pretty simple. It's a daycare.
Any more questions from the table? Audience, machine is open. Passes 9-0.
And I withdraw S, please.
I'm sorry?
I withdraw S.
S?
Withdraw, yeah, S.
S is withdrawn. This time we'll move to beer and liquor licenses. Councilman Black. Beer and liquor license.
Townview Cafe, hold on, 7918 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana. J&J Mart, 7812 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana. That is all.
Yes, I have 5. This is Belchester Tobacco City, LLC, 8617 Highway 23. Little G's Cajun Restaurant, 9338A Highway 23.
Oh, what a name.
Belchester Self-Service, 9654 Highway 23. Blue Angel, 9670 Highway 23. C-Train Tavern, 9080 Highway 23, Belchester.
That's it?
Yes,
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, I have Angelo's Restaurant Lounge, 2019 Concord Road, retail outlet beer, Class A. I have Dave's Beverage, 7690 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Class B liquor, for removal, both of them.
I have Porty's. Oh, this is... Porty's Marina and Porty's Bar. Also, Darrow Domain at, let's see, the address, P.O. Box 542, Point Lahash, Louisiana, Ward 3, K. Lowe Enterprise, LLC, the ferry stop, 3762 Highway 39, Breakway, Louisiana. Irvin True, owner, and Tina True, owner. Mr. Burke?
I have one.
Penny's Gas Station LLC, DBA Philisac, P.O. Box 760, Empire, Louisiana 70050. That is all, sir.
Yes, I have 6 renewals. Gilbo Incorporated, 28564 Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. Gilbo Delis, LLC, 28564A Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. JK&A LLC, Happy Land Chew, 27910 Highway 23. Joseph Talianasich, La Cafe Casa. I don't see the address here. Everybody know what a donut shop is, La Cafe Casa in Port Sulphur. Freeman's Incorporated, Freeman's Food Mart, 26277 Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. Delta Drugs, Port Sulphur, Louisiana, 26852 Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. And I also have a special event application, Knights of Columbus, Council 8703, 28698 Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. And that's it.
Yes, sir, I have one. Watusi, 33115, Highway 11, Empire, Louisiana. Thank you, sir.
Of course, I have some.
I know you got about 20 of them.
I have some. You know I have some. This is for Riverside Restaurant, located at 42939 Highway 23 in Venice. Happy Land, located, it's Happy Land Shopping, LLC, 35949 Highway 11, Buras. Bayou Club Bar and Grill, P.O. Box 387, Venice, physical address 42866 Highway 23. Heart's Old Cypress Bar, LLC, 42815 Highway 23, Venice. Heart's Exxon, 42813 Highway 23, Venice. Lucky Ryan, 109 Rhodey Lane in Buras. And Adams Grocery of Bootville, 41245 Highway 23. Those I offer.
Offered by Councilman Williams, second by Councilman Acecone. Any questions from the table? Audience, machine is open. Passes 9-0. Go to P. Letter P.
Resolution.
E. I'm sorry, Mr. Roussel. E. E. Huh? Yes.
I'll offer with the following
An ordinance
change.
to amend the 2017 manpower structure and operating budget and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Yes, I'll offer with the following changes, fill in the blanks. This is just a transfer, no cost to the general fund.
When is this?
This is the IT department.
B.
E.
Is there a second? Second by Councilman Williams. Mr. Roussel.
Yes, this is to create the information technology department, moving an individual from the other department under the public service.
Any questions from the table?
IT.
Audience, machine is open. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to be brief because it's been a long day already. Our department is against this ordinance for a few reasons. It is basically any companies I've ever worked with or worked for, there's only been one department for technical services. Okay, you're just going to make this more complicated by adding a second department, so now it's going to bat between whose department has to handle what. And for an example earlier, that falls under IT, playing with projectors and laptops. So, I mean, it's one of those, you're making it harder for end users, and if you know anything about tech, it all falls in one place. So, that's about it.
Question from the table? Councilman Lapine.
I just want to get a clarification why we separating the ITT when we're trying to consolidate other departments.
because the IT department is an individual who we want to maintain his employment, and by moving him to this department, we feel we'll get a better service without any strings attached to the rest of the department.
So should I be concerned about my employment?
Is that a question to me?
Yeah, you just basically said you're covering him for employment, so what about us?
Well, I don't want to get into the personnel matters here, but we had this discussion the other day, and you got my answer the other day.
You have the wrong facts.
I think you see why we're doing it right now. Good example. Call a question.
Question has been called. Machine open. Six, 3. Next item it passes 6-3. P, please. Oh, G, I'm sorry. Ms. Williams, you going with G? Or with the first? Pass over G? All right. So I guess we go to P.
An ordinance to amend the 2017 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget, Hurricanes and Tropical Storms, Tropical Storm Cindy, 2017 Hurricane Preparation, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'd like to offer with the changes on line 14, scratch 895450, and put on line 15, 98950. And on line 21, scratch 89450 and add 98950. I offer with those changes. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? It dies for a lack of a second. Next, please. T. Mr. Black, you moving on T?
An ordinance authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Council to temporarily waive the load limit requirement for F. Edward Aver Boulevard and Main Street for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers contractors for the West Bank and vicinity, Mississippi River Levee, Mississippi River and Tributaries Project, Hurricane and Storm Damage Risk Reduction System, West Bank and vicinity armoring system. Let's see. WBV-ARM-11 system armoring reaches WBV-MRL 5.2 and WBV-MRL 6.1 English Turn Bend to Belle Chase, B/L STA 0+00 to B/L STA 225+25, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana project from the contractual award date through the date of issuance of the notice of construction completion, set terms and conditions of use to provide penalties and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer.
Second.
Second offered by Councilman Black.
Yeah.
Second by Councilman Juneau. Councilman Black.
Thank you. This is legislation that myself and Councilmember Juneau worked on together with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This basically sets guidelines and restrictions for the contractors who are working on the WBV Mississippi River Levee project on Main Street and F. Edward Aver and Woodland Highway.
Anyone else? Audience? I got a question. Will that have any impact on that little bridge?
Yeah, so there are restrictions on the bridge. They're
Yeah.
going to have a guy working out there, and they have to go 5 miles an hour to cross it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the weight. That won't have an impact on it?
No, it's not.
Okay,
No.
all right. That's the only question. All right, machine is open. Passes 9-0. You, please.
A resolution authorizing and directing the parish president or his designee to advertise for requests for proposals for advanced meter reading services, authorizing and directing the president to submit all proposals received to the parish council for review and approval, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Russell?
I'll offer an extra second.
Second. Is there a second? Councilman
case come before you. Okay, Mr. Roussel?
Yes, what this does is allow us to go out and get proposals for automatic read. As you know, we've had a pilot program in effect for about a year now, and the accuracy is over 99% on the 100 meters or the 99 meters that we have in the ground now. This will save us a lot of time and effort and eliminate estimated water bill readings. It will also give us the opportunity to capture water that may not be metered and used now. So this is an opportunity to move us into an automatic system that can be read from the office 4 times a day, billed automatically, and I think it'll be a great step forward. I put this into the same category as when we changed from hoppers on the garbage trucks to automatic garbage collection.
Questions from the table?
So just that the public knows, this, it's not going to eliminate anybody's job, right?
This is to put automatic readers on. The employees that are going to change meters out and so forth will still be employed. I would imagine by attrition, meter readers themselves may be reduced, since we have 7 now, I believe it is. So that's the intent.
Okay. I just wanted to go out to the general public.
Any other questions from the table? Audience? I'm sorry, Mr. President.
I think, Councilwoman Trufant, I think you asked a good question. And just to further elaborate upon that, the status here is that we have, in the areas outside of Belchaz, we have new meters that were installed. I think the cost, those new meters were installed after Katrina and on the East Bank, I think Isaac. In those areas, the cost goes up, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head when I met with Aquametric, who provides service in Belchase. I think that doing this in the Belchase area, where the meters are older, they were not replaced after Katrina. I support that. I think if you're talking about parish-wide, the costs go way, way up. I think, Councilman Juneau, you were in on that meeting, I think, and the costs jump up several $1 million if you try to do it parish-wide, because then you have to put up the, not satellites, but towers and whatnot.
No,
so if this is limited to the area where we currently are doing this,
We're not putting any towers up. The question is? Well, this is what it does. It doesn't specifically say any particular area. What it says is to go out and get proposals. So the proposals can be staggered into 1 area, 2 areas, 3 areas. But I would hope that at the end of the day, the whole proposal would at least reflect what the parish cost would be. And if we wanted to go with 1/3 of the proposal, or 2/3 of the proposal, or the whole proposal, those options would be available. And I trust that the administration is capable of putting that in a form that it can be presented that way.
and I'm just informing, and trying to answer, attempting to answer Councilman Trufant's question. When you do the cost-benefit analysis, we still have a lot of life span left in the meters outside of the Belchase area. And what was it, over? I think to do parish-wide, it was about $5 million, the cost, or? You remember, Councilman Juneau? What was the estimate given to do it parish-wide? It was something like $5 million?
No, that's not the estimate. But the thing is that we don't know what it's going to cost. That's why we're asking for a proposal. We did a pilot program to be able to get an idea of whether or not this is the technology that we want. The water towers are where we use what we use for the GPS system that's going to read these meters from the office. This is something that we ought to not be putting roadblocks in front of. We should be paving the way for, to be able to see what the proposal will be. And then we can come back here and fight the battle as to what we're going to do. But at this point, this is simply asking for a proposal for parish-wide meter reading to be able to advance the parish into the next generation of electronics. Now, you know, there are no written proposals written yet. We rely on the administration. Hopefully they're competent enough to put that together to their liking, which will accomplish this goal.
Mr. Ragusa said he'll do that as good as possible.
Ms. Williams?
Yes, I just want to elaborate on Mr. Cormier's statement that all meters were replaced after Katrina. That's not the fact. There's several meters that I know of, and probably the majority of the meters on the southern end of the parish, just in my district alone, that were not replaced after Katrina. I have a meter on a piece of property that I owned prior to Katrina. It was installed in 1998, and it's still there. So that's not inaccurate, I just wanted to let you know that. I didn't know if you were aware of that.
I thank you for that information. I was informed that they were replaced.
No.
So then the question becomes, though, so that would entail the elimination of the meter reading jobs if we parish-wide.
The meters are being read inaccurately now. We have people with $500 and $600 and $700 water bills, whether it's a meter reading problem or an equipment problem or whatever the case may be. I just think we need to be more efficient.
And it'll eliminate the estimated bills, which seems to be the major problem that we are facing, estimated billing. So do you have an idea? Do I need to put a timeline in here, or is the administration willing to work with us?
Councilman Roussel, the administration's always willing to cooperate. The administration's trying to provide information, though. Do you have a funding source for this? Because it's, again, everything costs money.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you, I can get you the copy of the meeting we had with Aquametric of the numbers, and Councilman Juneau was kind enough to attend it. I'll be more than glad to provide you a copy, because I guarantee you, I do remember there was one estimate of over $3 million, another estimate of something. So, we can talk a lot about getting requests, but it's going to cost money. So we just need to stay in the realm of reality as well.
Mr. Cormier, it doesn't cost anything to get the proposal.
The advertising, you're right, the advertising cost and the preparation. So, but no, we'll try to comply with that.
Thank you. Call a question.
Question has been called.
Thank you.
You need to cut your nails also, huh?
Next item, please.
6Y, an ordinance approving the assignment by D.W. Wapiti Investments 1 LLC as assigner to Crew Energy LLC as assignee, covering 2 oil and gas mineral leases identified as Parish Tract 08-1 and Parish Tract 10-2, to authorize the parish president to execute and approve the consent to the assignment and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I offer. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Solvent. Mr. Alvey, would you come up? See, might have a question by anybody. The table is open for questions.
I feel like a brief description on what this
That's
is.
all right. That's his job. He wrote it up, so he can explain it to you in depth.
No, we don't need to go in depth, just a brief description.
You like it in depth?
I'd like to know how deep the well is.
I have no idea. This is a standard ordinance we put together when the requests for approvals are made with respect to leases, some of our newer leases pre-1980. So what they do is make the request, and this is a standard operating procedure of our approving the assignments. This way we keep track of who the lessees are, who owns the leases. So, and this is standard language, and we try to track the history from the original lease to the current assignment request. So this is what this is.
The terms of the lease are based on current pricing?
No. has nothing to do with pricing. This just has to do with somebody who's got a lease and somebody who's interested in assigning it to somebody else for some reason, right? And we still remain the lessor. We don't lose any of our rights.
The royalties stay the same?
Beg pardon?
The royalties stay the same?
Oh, yeah, nothing changes.
That's, I think, a question.
Nothing changes, other than the person to whom it's assigned to, who may have a new interest, and somebody may retain an interest, but we keep track of that.
Any other comments? Any other comments from the table? Audience, the machine is open. Eight one. Next item, please.
LV is not leaving, is he?
In 6Z, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a donation for the Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness Department and to amend the General Fund 2017 operating revenue and expenditure budgets, Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness Department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I offer. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Williams. Question from the table. Audience, machine is open. On the sleeper.
He scooped up $500.
Mr. Russo.
Benny. Passes 9-0. Next item, please. Double A.
6AA, an ordinance to appropriate $200,000 to the Belle Chase Scarsdale Ferry Project and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I offer. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Audrey. I think it had to do with those dolphins at the ferries. That's what that's for.
Where the money's coming from?
Yeah, yeah. Administration, y'all have any info on that?
Yes, there's a non-structural modification to the docking barge that needs to be done before the dolphins can be, installed or attached.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, this is coming from the BP fund. How much money do we have in the BP fund? Finance? Like actual money?
A little over 10 million.
That's because those legal fees are still
Pending.
pending. When we vote on G, that'll be out of there, so you'll only have about 4.
Well,
Yeah, I just want to check on accounting. That's not the 10 million that's being withheld at the federal court, is it?
No.
This is a separate 10 million?
Yeah. We received 2 checks, if you remember.
Yeah, go ahead. Which ones?
The first one was 15 million, if I recall, right?
Okay.
No, 25 million, I'm sorry.
No, I don't think we received.
No, it was 15. It's
It
my
was
understanding it was
15 million?
15.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it was 25 million total. It was 15 first, and then we have a second 10 million that's anticipated.
It's my understanding we received the 15 million.
Right.
We appropriated the 9 for the water project. And then you have the 6
And
for
legal fees.
for the approximate 6 million for the legal fees that is scheduled to come out of that initial payment.
So, but my question is this, is I believe 16 million total is being held up, 6 million in an escrow, and then another 10 million that's being held up currently by order of the federal magistrate, which hasn't been heard yet at the 25th JDC, which they may hold up. So what I'm saying is, we don't have any BP money to actually appropriate. We don't. I just want to clarify, because we talk about spending money, especially with FEMA projects, and not having money in hand, and we appropriate that money for reimbursement. That's been a very contentious item. This is money that we actually do not have in hand. So to my understanding, there is no money in the bank from BP.
Tommy.
My breakdown,
Yeah,
the way
really.
I understand it, is that. No, that
No.
doesn't answer that. Oh. We used $5 million of this to balance the 2017 budget. It's my recollection. Then we appropriated another $6 or $7 million for the water project. Is that right?
Let's just pass over, go to the next item while you get this straight. What's the next item?
6CC, an ordinance to rescind, annul,
That's
and...
deferred, I'm sorry. What about GG?
DD,
GG. Good.
that was withdrawn.
LL been withdrawn? All right. Who you waiting?
What's DD done? You deferred?
Yes.
We haven't done 6DD.
Let's go to introduction on resolution.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a few, Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
A resolution supporting the joint access use of the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, New Orleans runways, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. An ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of the property of the Parks of Plaquemines, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the map of the Parks of Plaquemines Phase 2B, being re-subdivision a portion of Tract 3D1C, Section B of the Belch's Plantation to lots 135 to 142, and lots 159 and 169 by Brian Hammond and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS. The owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision, re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cost to the parish government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise provide with respect to. Amitra, I have there's a date on there, I'll just scratch it out. An ordinance to approve and amend civil service pay plan and classification schedule adopted by the Civil Service Commission on August 3rd, 2017, reallocating the classifications of rescue boat engineer, rescue captain, marine inspector, relief captain, and otherwise to provide with respect to. That's all I have.
I have none.
I have two. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, ECWTP raw water intake pump station project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 02-184 regarding the rules and regulations for the use of fireworks in the parish of Plaquemines, and to establish violations and penalties, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Thank you.
Mr. Rousseau? I have several. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan solid waste transfer station project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance authorizing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to settle and compromise the case of DII LLC versus Plaquemines Parish Government 62-764A, semicolon, otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2017 general fund operating expenditure budget, legal service department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to transfer a fund from the levy lift project WBV-09A and levy lift project WB-12 on the East Bank settlement pipeline, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing directing parish president or his designee to locate funding for repair of the water line in Braithwaite and from White Ditch to Phoenix, otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance authorizing and accepting the donation for the fire department and to amend the fire department fund 2017 operating revenue and expenditure budget firefighting Bell Chase department, otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilman Burke.
A resolution appointing the Plaquemines Parish members of the Regional Planning Commission and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Solvent.
Yes, I have one also. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, LRA Port Sulphur Library project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
H-Phone.
Just have one.
An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of property of Saxon Becknell Jr. of Tract 1 of Mrs. Jenny Jordan et al. And Leonard Jordan Division, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, to lots 1A, 1B, and 1C, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, is shown on the plans and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated April 27, 2017, revised September 13, 2017. The owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost of Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Thank you, Ms. Baldwin.
Ms. Williams, you have anything? Okay. We ready? Ms. Pond? Okay. Let's go back to item 8. How much money we have, BP money we have?
Okay, $25 million was budgeted, it was in the ordinance, and it was the 15 million and the 10. It was to be appropriated and set up into the BP settlement fund. Out of that, $14,017,800 has been reappropriated for the water project that Ms. Williams introduced, and the revenue shortfall. It's a total of both. So from that, if you're only going to show the $50 million that we've actually received, the $10 million is anticipated. So you have almost $1 million, not including the $10 million that we haven't received yet.
All right. My question is whether or not can the Coast Guard shut the ferry down because of that dolphin that's broke. It's not even it's cracked. I mean, really broken. It's separated. You can see from the water line when the river's down, you can see how the pipe is really separated. And I don't know if that's anything that is required on them to maintain operation. That piece of stuff is not being supported. I don't know if that could have an impact on the Belle Chase ferry. So, other than that, that's all I have to say about that, other than either we appropriate the money or let it go. It's up to this council. Mr. President, you have a comment?
Chairman Bartholomew, it was explained to me that this project will actually save money in the long run because right now, the way the barge is misaligned, it causes trouble for the boat.
All right. Any other comments from the table? Machine is open. You got $1 million left in the budget.
This is $200,000 for the squad thing.
No, nobody else. I'm just saying. I know that piece is broke completely, separated. But that's not even counting the $10 million now that's coming. Either. I mean, I'm just saying what it is.
Look, the question was, you're worried about the legal fees that we have to put aside? Is that put aside?
No, sir. That would be taken up in item G, I believe. Yeah, it's item G, would address the legal fees. So far, yes, ma'am. Almost $1 million, yes, ma'am. Not until we receive the final payment of the $10 million.
But you're saying it, but there's not a final payment because there's
Well,
$16 million.
I'm sorry.
There's $10 million that's being held up by the federal magistrate. Am I wrong, Peter? Okay, and there's another $6 million that's being held up between the
Fees, what happened was the first 15 million came in. I had to set aside what they claimed their fees were.
which was what? 6.7?
$5,750,000. And then roughly, I think it was $600,000 in cost.
So say 6
That has
million.
been set aside. So we don't have to worry about any fees coming out what yet. What they gave us was a check for the balance, which was roughly $8 million. That was sent to us. That is in our hands. That is ours. Nobody can touch
Okay.
that. There is $10 million in the clerk's file in the Eastern District, which should be sent to the local.
So we can, yeah.
Okay.
That's what we're waiting.
So that clarifies that. So basically, we are negative $1 million, because if we have $6 million being held up in escrow, like you said,
No.
out of the 15, that left us with 8, and then we have $10 million being held up in the by the federal magistrate, and we already appropriated $9 million for the water project.
I don't think it was 9 total. I think we only took a portion of that out of BP. I think it was 3
It
million
wasn't
that come
that.
out of BP, and the other 6 came out of the water project,
Right.
water fund. So it was a total of
Okay.
8 that we appropriated.
No,
Right.
the total was 12 million. 9 came out of the BP fund and 3 came out of the waterworks fund.
So that was water project, plus
Yes.
the 5 that we, so we
For the
appropriated
shortfall.
14.
So it's approximately
don't
14
have.
million.
We don't have it.
Right, we
That's what I'm
appropriated
saying.
and we didn't even have it.
Because we have a total of 16 million right now being held up for legal purposes.
Okay.
We have 10 million by the federal magistrate, and 6 million that Peter put aside in the escrow. So, subtract that's
So we're
that's
negative.
16 from the 25. I mean, that's 9 million, and we just talked about that, right? I mean, that's going already.
What we have in the budget, $1 million, right?
A little under $1 million.
A little under $1 million.
Yes.
All right.
But we really don't have that.
You don't.
Because
That's
the
what she
6
said,
is
she
not
have
in
it in
the
the
account.
It's not encumbered, it's been appropriated, though,
Where's been appropriated at?
to the water project,
Can't be,
and
'cause it's
into-
still-
into the budget.
It's still listed as there being money in the budget. It's not appropriated.
No, it's appropriated, it's not encumbered.
If it was appropriated, it'd be in that line item, or be an appropriation. It's not, hasn't, been that money has not been appropriated.
It has been appropriated.
Where? Show me that line item where that money went to.
In the water project, it's been
She
appropriated.
didn't say that. She did, that's not that money. She did. That million, little less than the millions in that water line item?
No, not the million.
No.
That's all I'm saying. I understand the rest.
But no, Mr. John, the
I'm
money that
just,
was
what I'm trying to
appropriated.
say is that we got an idea either we're gonna spend the 200,000 or not spend it. We have close to $1 million that we can take it out of.
But
If
we
we don't
don't-
want to do that, we don't have to do that.
We don't have the $1 million to take it out of because we have appropriated money that we don't actually have yet.
Are we doing voodoo economics?
No.
Well,
We're doing economic.
that's malfeasance when you appropriate money that you don't have.
That's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to avoid.
I'm just saying what it is, what she's saying. If we appropriating money, we know that's not there, that's violation,
I agree.
you know? But that's why I'm saying, she said it's not, so we got less than $1 million. So the question is whether you want to spend it, or no, if you don't want to spend it. You think we need to do it, do it. I mean, we charge people every day to ride their ferries, you got to do something, one thing or the other. So you want to take the chance and let them shut it down?
I just
Something
can't
else.
understand how we don't have a proper accounting of the fund balance from BP fund. We created that fund specifically so we won't have these issues.
Right.
And we know for sure we have 16 million held up for legal purposes,
I understand that quite well.
you know, but
We got
the other
10
9,
Yeah, but you know what, 10 has been already approved to be given to us.
no. Here's the order by the judge. This order came out on November 7th. It is further ordered that the funds in the registry of the court shall remain there until the parties file an appropriate motion to transfer the funds to the registry of the 25th JDC in Plattman's Parish. So it hasn't even, I don't even know if anybody from A or B has gotten that yet to even make a determination at that next hearing to what happens to those funds. So we may be a month or so out, right, Peter? Okay, but I mean, still, it could be, we may not get a hearing on that until when? Who knows, right?
You know, the whole argument they were making to hold that money is this period towards will. I hope we
Yeah.
do something very reasonable soon.
So as a legal advisor, would you then advise us, based on what Mr. Bartholomew had just said, not appropriate the money until that is actually cleared up? Okay.
That's all I'm
I'm
saying.
just trying to protect this council
Yeah,
from,
but, well, of course, that's what I mean, you can't spend stuff if you don't have it.
Right.
But that less, right at $1 million in that account now. Yeah. Do we have $1 million? Let's
Technically, we don't.
wait, let's just hear. I mean, cash money. Got to put our hands on that?
It's my understanding we received the first $15 million payment.
And that million, little less than $1 million was left.
Yeah, you used $9 million for the waterworks projects, and we had a $5 million shortfall.
So that's that $14 million.
Yeah.
$6 million for the attorneys. So
Well, that's still enough. That's what that other 15 knows. That's what that other
if you
budget.
add them all up, it ain't there.
Yeah, but that's in the court. They got the money for that.
Peter, can you please
Yes.
explain why we don't
Okay,
have
wait.
$15 million available?
I'm waiting.
I know you will.
Yes, but they keep saying.
Amount for what was 6 million. We got $8 million sent to us by $8.5
Right.
sent to us by check, which is in our possession.
Put the mic on.
Right,
Turn your mic
and of that $8 million, we have appropriated $5 to balance the 2017 budget and $9 to do the waterworks. It's pretty simple to me.
Hey, if they don't want to do you, just
All right, Mr. H.
Okay, being that it's a serious situation, we got $1,068,000 in unreserved and undesignated, can we just take it out of there? Anybody has an objection to that?
Call for the amendment.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Unreserved and
I'm on the phone
designated.
with Tommy. How much do we have in unreserved?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can take
take it out of there.
Yes, you have 1.3 million in unreserved, undesignated for the general fund, correct?
Do the
Okay.
amendment.
Yeah. I would say do an amendment to take it out unreserved and designated. It needs to be,
You
it needs to be
can't
done.
change the possibility of getting the ferry shut down.
Right.
We got to think
Y'all
about
want to do
saving.
that? All right. Can you write up the amendment? You'll do the amendment?
Yeah, but do it right now.
Yeah, I'll make it for you. On line 15, $200 from the scratch the BP fund.
200,000.
From the unreserved, undesignated fund balance.
Mr. Russell offered an amendment. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Second by Councilman? No.
Edgecombe.
And they call him offered it, so I put it like that.
All right.
I'll offer the amendment, and with this caveat, that this means that when we get into the budget hearing, every time we hit the general fund, that rollover will not be there.
Yep.
Any other comments from the table? Machine, audience, machine is open. On the amendment, as amended. On the amendment. On the amendment, not the ordinance as amended, but on the amendment. It's a long day, y'all. Y'all, it's just a long day. All right, it passes. So Councilman H-Comb offered as amended, and Mr. Lapine second as amended. Any question on the table? Hearing none, the machine is open.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, 9-0. Next item, that's it? No. Boy.
We have 6G and 6JJ.
No, he did not.
6G, Nicole, you want to move on to 6G?
It's on the litigation.
Oh, JJ was
6G is deferred. All right.
Mm-hmm.
6G going to be deferred. And what's the other one?
I'm going to call you.
JJ.
JJ is
Was that withdrawn?
JJ has been withdrawn. DD is deferred. I'm sorry, withdrawn. 6GG is withdrawn. DD is withdrawn. Yeah, go ahead.
Deferred?
DD is withdrawn. Yeah, I'm looking at it, things say deferred.
Jesus, H.
All right, let's go to discussion items.
Hey, what happened to G?
Discussion items, please.
You know, we going after.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Let's
I
get
don't
everything
know.
out the way so when we come back, we can leave.
Okay.
7B, update and presentation by District 7 Councilmember Trufant Salvant.
Yes. I just want to make an announcement that St. Patrick will be having a toy bingo on November 19, 2017. You can purchase tickets at Freeman or St. Patrick. And that's all I have.
6D, Councilman Black.
Defer.
Deferred. 6C is deferred. E is want to be deferred. C, D, and E is deferred.
7F,
F.
presentation by...
Withdrawn.
F is withdrawn. G, deferred.
Deferred.
Everybody?
Deferred.
Deferred. H is Ms. Williams. How you want to move on? You want to talk about it?
I don't want to defer.
You can talk about it next week.
Update regarding employee qualifications per resolution number 16-274. Councilmember Williams.
Ms. Williams?
Yes, Mr. Cormier, sometime last year, we approved this resolution unanimously as a, to get an update regarding the qualification and certification of employees. And I would like, at your earliest convenience, to provide this because I do know that there are some issues that have been going on and as far as qualifications and certifications for specific employees and job duties, and we may not be able to hire some people because some jobs titles are requiring maybe things that they shouldn't be requiring and things of that nature. So I'd ask you to do a comprehensive evaluation of that if possible. I've asked several times and without any resolution, so. Good.
I is deferred. J. Councilman Black.
Update on council building security and card access system. Councilmember Black.
Yes, thank you. I sent an email back in early October, and I had some subsequent emails. Since then, I haven't heard any response. We're having some issues with the security and also access control of the council office in Building 203. From my understanding, speaking to All South as well as engineering, is that in the 2013 ordinance, there's still funds available that was appropriated for that building. All we're looking to do right now is, in a preliminary, is to get around 5 access readers so we can lock the building up appropriately and also have some access control. I mean, we just saw a shooting in Texas which killed a large amount of people at a church. I mean, today's society, I think security is a must. And we have legislators and their staff, as well as other staff of parish government, vulnerable, very vulnerable in my opinion. And we're just asking for you guys to go out for, I guess, quotes, because we're only asking for 5 of them, just to put them at the main doors that we've identified. I think the wiring is already in, so from my understanding, you would need a panel and the readers, which would be well within the budget that we have remaining.
Any other comments from the table?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Allen.
In conjunction to what Mr. Black just said, I think consideration needs to be given to the entire buildings parish-wide, because they don't discriminate with the type of shooting that took place in Texas. It can happen anywhere, and I think when we start to addressing the situation, we shouldn't piecemeal it. We should consider all of the buildings in a parish, because our office is just as vulnerable as the next one. There's times when my administrative assistant is the only person in a building sometimes. Same thing for Miss Franny. So I think when we look into it, we want to give consideration to all of the office buildings.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, and we definitely find funds to appropriate in order to do that. I know the ones for 203, the money is there in that building project. I would ask that possibly Director of Homeland Security, along with Director Giles, could maybe do an assessment of our buildings and identify where we need access control or different countermeasures for the safety and security of our staff. I've done that already in Building 203. I think I'm qualified to do it, and so we've looked at a couple of different options. But I would hope that the administration would help us out with that.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
I also have to agree. Some of our secretaries come in early. Some of them stay late. Some of us stay late. We come in early. And something has to be done because it's a bad situation, because somebody walked in the other day on us and they don't pay attention to do not enter, you know.
I share all of your concerns, Councilman Black, Councilman Juneau, and Councilman Trufant. I think, Councilman Black, I don't know if you were present in one of our pre-council meetings in which Mr. Dugas stated there was, and I don't remember the details of what type of the details of any appropriation, but I do recall our chief engineer stating that when this was initially proposed, the inflation of the cost is going up greatly from 2012 to 2017, and so there was a problem there. But Chief Engineer Dugas could elaborate further upon that, but we'll look into it.
Okay.
Discussion on the privatization of the emergency medical services for Plaquemines Parish.
Executive session, please. All right, approve the minutes. Let's approve the minutes. Mr. Roussel offered to approve the minutes. That's second by Mr. H. Cohn. Any question from the table? Audience, the machine is open. It passes 9-0.
1A1, discussion for attorney-client privilege communications regarding the parish's rights and duties under its contract with Waste Pro. Attorney Shane Landry, council members Burt and Juneau. Number 2, in regarding oil spill by the oil rig Deepwater Horizon in the Gulf of Mexico on April 20, 2010, MDL number 2179, Section J, relative to Plaquemines Parish versus BP PLC et al. Number 11-EV-00916. Magistrate Judge Wilkinson, Attorney Peter Barbay, council members Lapine and Bartholomew. Number 3, Plaquemines Parish Council versus Plaquemines Parish President Amos Cormier III, 25th JDC, case number 64-047. Division A, Attorney Danny Garrett, council member Black.
I offer. Second by Councilman Lapine. Machine is open. Passes 9-0. Going executive session at 5:46. 6:16. Out of executive session. No action was taken.
I move to adjourn.
I have a motion by Mr. Roussel and unanimous second to adjourn. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.